So come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams. Together we can find everything that we're looking for. One Piece.
Alright, Sanji. Sanji is a very divisive character in the anime community. Many people see Sanji as a bit of a freak bomb. And I was...
That's why I like him.
And I was among that crowd. The first time that I watched One Piece, I'm caught up to current. But the second time that I watched it through with my girlfriend, she found Sanji to be one of her favorite characters. Pretty much her favorite right after Nami. So I had to really re-examine him. And today we're going to be diving into why you should be a Sanji defender. Why Sanji might possibly be the GOAT in One Piece. So, we're going to start out really just kind of with the framing of where we're at in the show. And then dive in arc by arc as to how Sanji is characterized in the anime. And what that leads us to believe about the deeper meaning of his character beyond him being a little bit of a freak. So... to start us off, tell everyone how you got into One Piece and where you are currently.
Great. So, when Reese and I first started going out, the only time we wouldn't spend together, essentially, was when the new One Piece episode dropped. That was pretty much the only time we wouldn't hang out. And I was like, wow, this guy's really obsessed with all this. And... he asked me to watch it for, we've been together 3 years. Oh my gosh, I don't have my ring on because I'm in the Nami cosplay. That's horrible. Anyways, we've been together for 3 years, and the first year, I watched, maybe half of the East Blue arc, and I just couldn't, I was into it, but, I didn't even care that much about Sanji when he was first introduced because I found all the Dawn Krieg stuff to be so annoying. The Dawn Krieg stuff, I now understand that arc is very short, but at the time I was like, this is the longest thing I've ever watched in my whole life. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I think I was stuck on that arc for a year, but maybe in hindsight, my subconscious just was enjoying looking at Sanji for the first time. Surely that had to have been it, and I spread it out over time.
It could have felt slow because, the gaps between the Sanji scenes, you're like,
right.
I do want to get to know this guy,
but
we keep talking about Pearl from Dawn Krieg's crew and his shield on his chest and how it's the most impenetrable shield in the world. Until Luffy, headbutts him one time and obliterates it.
Yeah.
So,
Gear Zero, Luffy headbutts him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So... from there, I would just kind of watch One Piece whenever we would see each other while doing long distance, and then once we moved in together, we watch One Piece literally every single morning. I fear it has consumed my entire life, and I'm pretty much the biggest One Piece glazer I've ever met, even more than Reese. Reese he's One Piece glazer, trust. And his endless bullying did get me to watch it despite my struggle and fight against it, which that's what I love about getting into One Piece is when Luffy asks anyone to join the crew, they're like, no, I don't want to join your crew. And then through Luffy's actions and his personality, you then are compelled and you have no choice but to join the crew. And I feel like that is the exact same experience you have as the One Piece viewer. You're like, no, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to. And then you have someone like, no, you're going to do it.
I'm bringing you along.
Yeah. We're bringing you along all our fucking hopes and dreams right now.
Yeah.
Yep. And, yeah, I think that's that.
No, that's definitely... I like that analogy because I didn't want to watch it either, and I was introduced to One Piece by a college roommate who was like... because I didn't even know what it was about. I thought it was a superhero anime, kind of like...
You thought it was My Hero Academia?
I thought it was like My Hero Academia. I thought it was a similar kind of thing. And he was like, no, it's a pirate anime. And I'm like, oh, okay, that actually sounds fun. I've never seen a pirate anime before, so we're going to watch it. And I just got immediately addicted to it. I think I started watching it in 2020, and probably caught up to current. Yeah, I caught up to current during Wano, during the middle of Wano. So... I've been just kind of watching the weekly since that and reading some of the more current manga so I can not get spoiled online. You have to read it at some point. If you're looking at One Piece memes, you have to read the current manga because you're just going to get spoiled. So, to jump into the Sanji plot line, the first time we see Sanji is obviously on the Baratie. So, during the East Blue arc, it's relatively early in the first, 20 episodes or so. And what was your first impression of Sanji and both his personality and his backstory? Because we kind of get introduced to both of those things within like a 5 or 6 episode span.
Okay.
So like his initial introduction to the Straw Hats first, like when he literally first walks up to them.
Well, I think the first time I watched the East Blue arc, I've now watched it like 3 times and convincing other people to watch One Piece. So the first time I was watching it, I hate to say, like, I kind of just didn't care about anything at all. I was, like, doing it for the sake of you.
Fair enough.
So I would say upon my second watch, once I had already fallen in love with Sanji, I freaking eat it up. It's my favorite part of the East Blue arc. Okay. Is now the Baratie stuff, which originally I found so excruciating, which is really interesting. I love that, Sanji is not afraid. Immediately, we see that Sanji is not afraid to embarrass other men. Like, but not in a way that is, like, a competition of masculinity. Like, if a man is being insincere or in a way that upsets Sanji, he very smoothly just finds a way to handle it. And that immediate introduction, I think, is a great characterization of him, is he just doesn't put up with masculine bullshit at all. And... right, you see that in the scene where he's talking to whatever that Navy guy is who goes to the Baratie with his date and tries to fake like he knows the wine. And then Sanji's like, you clown, this is the wrong wine. Like, no, like you have no idea what you're talking about. And then kind of like the next scene you see with him, like you see him in the back in the kitchen and whatever, and we're just establishing, right, at this time Luffy's now said 400 times, I need a cook! And now this guy's cooking, so you go, okay, this guy's gonna join the crew. And then the next cutscene, which I love, is, right, we have Luffy being chore boy, and he's bitching and moaning about not being able to eat, and the crew, which at this point is just Usopp, Nami, and Zoro, are kind of laughing, they're eating, and Sanji is pouring another woman a bottle of wine. He fully, he's risen up this woman, as he does, but he sees Nami from across the dining room. He fully stops pouring this woman's glass of wine, sets the bottle down, and races to Nami, hands her a rose, and is like, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. Anything you want, like, all for free, it's yours, right? And then Zoro and Usopp are like, oh, this is great. And immediately he's like, not for you two. And Nami's playing him like a fiddle. She immediately is like, yes, I love this. She's like, yes, I'll take this and I'll take that, and da-da-da. Like, immediately, she's cool with it. Like, there's nothing about her when she first meets Sanji. Like, she is kind of, like, taken aback. Like, whoa, this guy just, like, is professing his love to me, and I've never met him before. Like, she is taken aback. But then as soon as he starts offering her things, like, Nami's very materialistic, and she's just like, yeah, this is great. Like, if I'm stuck here for the next couple of days, like, she's definitely happy to meet Sanji upon meeting Sanji. And Sanji, very directly, like, immediately says that she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. So, and I think that through line, I love that, like, Sanji falls in love with Nami the second he sees her. And he abandons another woman, which is something he doesn't do. The only time we see Sanji abandon other women and not take care of a woman is if Nami is in trouble. So that through line is established immediately, and I love that. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then I guess his backstory.
Yeah, the backstory.
Yeah, he's a kid, he's cooking, scurvy sucks.
It does.
That guy ate his leg. That kind of sucks. He ate his own leg.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, he was known for his leg and he ate it. Like, he couldn't have just eaten his arm or something. Like,
right.
You know, I mean, it is pretty poetic, but...
Sure, why not?
I mean,
I think that whole thing, once it's reframed, once I finally get to Whole Cake, I think I'll have more of an appreciation for it, but right now I don't care.
Right. There is a little bit more context that adds a bit of oomph to that story itself. And, I guess we can kind of get it out of the way. Like, what major spoilers do you have, essentially, on Sanji at this point?
All of them.
What?
Surely.
Okay, well...
Surely he hates his dad. Surely his siblings suck, except his sister,
just
maybe.
Run through it quickly. Like, we just talk about Sanji a lot, so I feel like he's gotten a lot of spoilers kind of from that.
He's gonna have to get engaged to some hoe who I'm gonna fight when I meet her. He has to do the hardest decision of his life, which is to leave Nami. And I'm sure he cries and cries a lot. I'm sure he's real pathetic about it.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, but...
You're like, damn it, yeah, she pretty much got it.
Yeah, I guess you kind of know what's gonna happen. I guess you know what the One Piece is already, pretty much. You can predict it.
I know what the One Piece is. No one else does.
Right? So, if my laptop will turn on, what we were talking about when they meet, I think really carries over into the fact that after the Baratie arc, Nami leaves immediately and steals their ship.
Yeah.
And completely dips. And Sanji never once is upset at her and never once really doubts that she has kind of bad motives, essentially. So... And
I really feel like that's why he joins the crew, because then the crew's like, oh, we gotta go get Nami. And, like, he does agree to join the crew for, like, that's through Luffy's actions, but he's also, like, the crew then says, the next thing we're doing is going to save Nami. And I feel like that's when Sanji goes...
It's like, oh, they're about that life.
Right, like, it's the person he's most interested in.
Yes. It was all lining up for him there, yeah. It was all lining up for him, definitely. So, and I think a lot of people see that arc and Sanji's response to it and just how the arc itself plays out as a mini version of what happens later on in Water 7 with Nico Robin. Where, you know, she leaves and there's kind of a question of where her loyalties lie, and then... But Sanji, in both instances, doesn't really doubt their motives.
Well, when a woman lies, it's a man's job to forgive her.
The legendary Sanji quote.
That's the quote. You don't have to look it up. That's the quote, I promise you.
A real man can forgive a woman's lies.
Oh, it wasn't the exact quote.
There's 3 different translations of this line because, of course, a real man can forgive a woman's lies. When a woman lies, a real man forgives her. And... a man has to look for the truth behind a woman's lies. So, whatever translation you want, Sanji just believes women, even if they're just capping to him, I suppose. So we'll move into Arlong Park. I mean, he starts just really going full combat mode to rescue Nami once it comes to that point. I mean, he plays
tight suit pants.
He plays a supporting role, but he does literally save Luffy's life like multiple times.
Yeah, Luffy's kind of a dumbass in that arc.
Right. Luffy's stuck under the water for like 3 episodes somehow, and Sanji saves his life. So, you know, he's playing a pretty key role in the crew right off the bat and fits in well with the fighting styles of everyone. Like the walk to Arlong Park scene where...
Iconic.
It's incredibly iconic because you just feel... That's the moment that a lot of people say the crew really feels like the crew.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And Sanji, to be part of that, even though he really just joined in the prior arc, is a cool moment for him, I think.
Right, yeah. That's when they learn to aura farm together.
Yeah.
They learn the power of that.
Yeah.
Because they start manifesting Conqueror's hockey in that moment.
I mean, yeah, they manifest, like, their will powers are aligning. Like, it's all aligning towards the same goal, you know?
Right.
That's, people discuss about that, where other crews that we'll meet later, that we might have already met, like, their wills might be, everybody has different motivations, and even if they're super powerful and everybody has devil fruits and hockey, if their will powers are not aligned into the same kind of goals and historical kind of forces, it's just not going to really work out in the long term. So this is the moment where everything really clicked for the Straw Hats, like, for real, I think. My only notes for... oh yeah, so okay, so we're about at the end of the East Blue arc. So after they do rescue Nami and blast Arlong into the Earth, I don't really know where I think he's in prison, but he's not in Impel Down. So I don't really know where he is.
I don't know. Goodbye, Arlong. We never.
He's not. I don't think he's dead though. Like canonically, I don't think he's dead. But one of the last really one of the other most defining Sanji moments in the East Blue arc is the aspect that we didn't really touch on too heavily about his morality around people should be able to all eat. Where he has that moment with going back to just the moment on the Baratie where he's going up against the people on Don Krieg's crew or the guy that comes earlier. And he says even though this guy's an enemy or whatever, he doesn't deserve to starve to death. And that comes from his backstory, essentially.
Yeah.
I think he just has this really hardline moral code in that, and obviously the respecting women. Like, he takes his moral code extremely, like, to the extreme. And I think that story, or that little moment with Geen, where he's just not, he's refusing to attack him, he's refusing to do anything until this guy's fed. I think that was mostly to establish, like, Sanji just sticks to his morality, like, very, very hard.
I think the thing about it is, it's like people want to act like Sanji's a two-dimensional character, but he is by far the most empathetic character on the crew, of the entire crew, maybe other than Chopper.
Yeah.
But he is the most empathetic and cares about the well-being of others and being someone of service. Like, he does always stick to that moral code, and he's just, like, endlessly generous, and then people want to act like generosity is a two-dimensional trait, when it's absolutely not. It's a deeply, like, filled and motive, like, compassion-based thing, but also a thing of insecurity, which is, so it's just, like, because those things are intertwined, it's, like, Sanji is extremely complex, and because he is, like, generous and kind, that gets labeled as, like, two-dimensionality, which I completely disagree with, and I find very frustrating online.
I think a lot of people see that, like, and that, we can go ahead and talk about just that general dynamic on the ship where he's behaving in that way, like, just always, giving stuff to Nami, cooking for everyone, and so on. Like, I think a lot of people just categorize that as, oh, it's just Sanji being transactional with Nami, like, he sees it as, like, oh, he gets to, like, ogle her or, like, say things to her, but then he, like, makes up for it by doing these services. But I think that's a very shallow interpretation of the writing. Right. I don't know. I think that's the only way people can really write it off as two-dimensional, is if they see that as transactional. And I just don't. I think we're going to get into more why that it's just not.
And I think also it's like, right, they always do the bit where he's like, Nami-Swan, I made you this platter. And Nami's like, oh, thanks. And then Usopp and Luffy go, can we have some? And he's like, no, none of it's for you. But then you cut to the next scene, they're always eating some. He's always like, no, I didn't make any of this for you.
Right.
But then
they get the second batch at least. Always, he'll still make some for them.
You very rarely ever cut to, like, he really just makes a snack for just Nami. Like, we're in Punk Hazard right now, and it's really hot, and he's like, Nami, let me make you some sorbet. And then Brooke and Chopper and Frankie are there, and they're all like, ooh, sorbet, and he's like, you're not getting any. And then, of course, they get some. So,
Nami just gets the first batch, because she gets to eat first, and she gets the best ingredients. Like, he's said this. Like, oh, y'all get the second tier ingredients, like, I'm still gonna cook for you, but Nami gets the good, Nami and Robin later on get the good stuff, you know. So,
but I would even say that he puts Nami above Robin.
I agree. I'm just saying he states that with his cooking, like, oh, like, the ladies get, like, the top tier food, because the food on the ship is, like, at least in theory, limited. So just at the very end of the East Blue arc, to really wrap it up, Sanji's dream, I think that's one of them, is when I know, it's a little bit silly, but for a lot of people, it's one of the most endearing.
I like an autistic man.
I know. It's one of the most endearing moments for Sanji, because he just looks up at everyone's talking about their dream, you know, they want to...
Women want me and fish fear me.
Yes, right. But everybody's talking about their dream, and they want to, you know, be extremely powerful or be the best at this or that. And Sanji just has the dream of finding these fish. He wants the fish. He says, do you know about the all blue? And they're like,
Dog, deadass no. Deadass no.
But he just looks with this just very joyful smile, and there's just this frame that people really love of him just asking about this, because it's like, despite how much violence Sanji endures and inflicts on others, like, he's really out here for the fish and for the ladies. Like, that's his main goal. So he's really never after power this whole time. It's kind of he's only after fish. Like
this man wants to cook weird fish, and he wants women to be happy.
Right.
I mean, you can't argue with me that that's not a perfect man. If all you think about all day long is fish and wanting to treat women well, like...
Peak.
peak. And some people, again, we'll get into this, want to argue that Sanji doesn't treat women well.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree.
Okay, we'll get into that later more, I guess. Okay, we're in Alabasta. Or no, we're not. We're in,
Surely we're not. Surely I gotta deal with this fuck-ass whale.
Oh, we're on Reverse Mountain. And we get a little interlude to deal with one of Brinley's bottom 5 characters.
Yeah. Genuinely, it's a bottom 5 character for me.
While he may be an endearing fan favorite to many, one of Brinley's least favorite characters in One Piece is, in fact, Laboon.
I hate that self-harming whale. He's inconveniencing everyone for no reason. And I already know what you're going to say. But if you can't get past Laboon, then how are you going to make it on the Grand Line? And that's your first test. I don't care. There should be different first tests. He's inconveniencing everyone with his grief. It has been 70 years, okay?
Yeah.
And you're ramming your head into that wall.
I think it was like 50 years, right? Right?
50 years, 70 years, I don't care. He's
Maybe.
literally Taylor Swift's, and I've been saying this, what? Right where you left me.
Yeah.
Help, I'm still at the restaurant. I'm sitting in the corner I haunt.
Okay, B-roll Laboon
cross-legged
edit.
in the dim light. Everybody. I stayed there, dust collecting all my pinned up hair. I'm expecting that you got a life out there. Kids and Christmas, but I'm unaware, 'cause I'm right where you left me. You let me know. You let me know. You let me know choice but to stay here forever. And you know what? I love Taylor, and I don't think she was inconveniencing anyone by sitting in the dim light, you know?
Yeah.
But Laboon sure as fuck is.
I think Nami would like Taylor.
Oh, Nami would love Taylor Swift. Trust you would
Honestly.
like Taylor Swift.
I don't know if we've ever talked about that. Like, straight up. If we've ever been like, would Nami like Taylor? Like, obviously you think she would? You agree that she would?
Yeah, she would. I think she would much prefer, like, Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay. Like, she likes more, like, hype music. Just more like, I'm that bitch.
Yeah, I'm that bitch music. But, like, Nami and I would probably have the same Taylor Swift album. You guessed it correctly, Reputation.
Okay.
She would love Reputation.
Yeah.
But I think she would also love Folklore.
Anyways. Alright, so basically, speed running through the pre-Alabasta arc, we're in the freaking Dinosaur Island.
Oh, right.
We're in Drum Island.
Dorian Broggy.
We're in Cactus Island.
Right, like, see, that's the first island you have to go to that supposedly you have to wait a year on. That's a perfectly fine first test for the Grand Line. I think that's perfect. I don't think it should have to be Laboon.
I think they've been there, actually, for, like, pretty much the same amount of time. And the government just didn't bother either of them because they're like, well, I guess it kind of keeps pirates out, and the government can sail through the calm belt anyway, so...
Right.
I mean, I don't really know why they are
I'm just trying to hate on Laboon.
Chilling there. Yeah, like, Dory and Broggy have way more lines than Laboon.
Surely they're far more interesting. Surely they inspire Usopp's every action for the next 1 billion episodes. Surely Usopp's very inspired by Dory and Broggy.
One of the fan favorite moments on Little Garden for Sanji is where he splits off from... This is one of the first moments where, like, the trend really begins of Sanji sometimes splitting off from the crew, doing something, like, incredibly important that basically saves the entire plot line, and then just pulling back up, like, at the last second. And so, in this one, he's split off, and he's just hanging out in Mr. Three's little wax house. And then...
Can we talk about first, before we get there, how there's a whole bit where Sanji and Zoro are comparing meat sizes? That's what I was thinking we were going to talk about.
No, okay.
And I want to address that. I don't think... I understand why people ship Sanji and Zoro. I do understand it. I get it. And if it wasn't for the Nami of it all, I would. However, I think they're more like two gay drag queens who have beef rather than sexual... They do have a little sexual tension. And I think they could bang it out, but I don't think there's love there the way that, like, Sanji is bisexual. Zoro's gay. Okay. Zoro is gay. But I think they argue like old queens. I don't see them in a relationship together. Again, I think they could bang it out at some point, but I don't see a relationship for them. That's just my personal interpretation. But if you ship them, I really understand it, and that's really valid. But I think that, anyways, it was that scene I really appreciate where they compare meat sizes.
Yeah. Oh, nice tat.
Oh yeah, you did it for me.
The meat sizes, yeah, that was a pretty funny scene, like, because the theme,
like, what's happening?
The theme does go on. The theme is really ongoing of Zoro and Sanji doing the meat size comparison. Like, I'm not sure if we've gotten to this part, but there's basically the next few bounties. Like, one of them is in the lead by like 5 or 10 million, like barely, basically. You know, like 320 versus 310. You know, and so it's just like the same kind of thing, basically, where they're just like, yeah, mine's bigger. And they're like basically, yeah, I don't know. I guess, guys, both of your meats can be big. Let's move on. So,
but Sanji being useful.
Sanji is super useful, and he throws off Crocodile a little bit with the phone call, and then
which is crazy foreshadowing the name that he picks. Like, really, Oda just be doing shit. Like, that's crazy. Calling himself Mr. Prince. Like, he just told you straight up.
Mr. Prince, yeah. This is Mr. Prince, this is the shitty restaurant. What can I do for you? Yeah, go to foreshadowing, truly. I don't know. I feel like that might have been planned at that point, at least to some extent.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy business.
Yeah. I mean, some people... I saw an insane theory that I can't even share because it would spoil stuff for you, about Nami being related to, a celestial dragon family, basically. And I'm like, this is crazy, like, it's a very fringe theory that makes, like, very little sense, but...
Okay.
But
I wanted Nami to be a mermaid,
be really
but
funny.
it's not happening, so whatever.
How could she be a mermaid? She has legs.
Okay, Granny Kokoro had legs, too.
Okay.
I don't see why Nami couldn't have secretly learned that she was a mermaid on Fishman Island.
And just, like, developed into one?
Yeah, secret mermaid powers.
I mean, it is One Piece. You really can do anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Nami should have been a mermaid. Then we could have had a mermaid on the crew, but we didn't have to get someone new on the crew. And you still have Nami walking around. Nami should have been a mermaid. You gotta piss me off.
But if she's a mermaid and still walking around, like, how do you even... Like, what's different? Like, does she not look like a mermaid, really? Like, does she not have a tail?
She can transform and have a tail.
Oh, she can transform. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
That's what I wanted, but it's not gonna happen, but whatever. But trust, Oda did draw the Nami mermaid in the background.
Yeah, no, I mean... As Sanji, a Nami mermaid would in fact be peak.
So we've been looking at this bullet point for a long time on here that says Nami gay ?
Well, moving into... That's actually ahead of where we're at, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, my bad, okay.
It's okay. But in just... Drum Island, Nami gets sick, Sanji really steps up and really puts his life on the line yet again for Nami.
This is where I fell in love with Sanji. It was this arc when I originally watched it. Like, up to that point, like, Sanji was doing the whole, like, oh, Nami Swan, like, let me take care of you, let me feed you, and I was like, oh, this is entertaining. But it was Drum Island where I was like, oh my god, this man would do anything for her. And this is once again where Sanji puts Nami over other women. Like, he still takes care of other women. He's, you know, he gives Vivi a lot of attention because Vivi's kind of joined the crew momentarily. And he's, of course, also very flirtatious with Vivi, and he's very kind to her, and he takes care of her, makes sure she's fed. However, like, we get to Drum Island, Vivi's kind of freaking out, and Vivi's like, we need to go. And Sanji's kind of like, well, Vivi at first is like, oh, we still need to go. And then Nami gets sick and Vivi kind of lays off of that. But Sanji, at least at one point, too, was like, well, we can't go. Like, we have to take care of Nami. And Sanji is the one who is like, we need to find a doctor. He's the one who really is driving that. And then you get the whole, okay, the doctor is at the top of the mountain. Like, we have to climb there. And, of course, Luffy's ready to go because he's Luffy. He's impulsive. He will do anything for his friends, ready to go. But everyone else is kind of like, And Sanji is the one who goes with him. And you have the whole scene of them running up this mountain, and Luffy's being very hectic, and he's, like, making a ruckus of things, and Sanji is like, you need to get your act together because Nami is sick, and if you drop Nami or hurt Nami, like, you're gonna, like, he's like, not only am I gonna beat your ass, but, like, you're gonna hurt Nami more. Like, if you fail, if you can't get to the top of the mountain, like, Nami's gonna die. And it's the first time I think we ever see Luffy lock in. It is, like, the first time that that Luffy's, like, oh, other people rely on me. In, like, a very significant way where, like, he's defended his friends before. But he's not, like,
It's not a fight, though.
He hasn't changed his behaviors. This is the first time he ever changes his behaviors, and it's because of Sanji's words.
Certainly.
And Sanji defends them all the way up to the mountain. They're at the very top, and the avalanche starts. And Sanji sacrifices himself, fully thinks he's going to die. Like, he has a line where he's like, I'm willing to die for Nami's safety. And, like, lets go of Luffy so that Luffy will take Nami to the top of the mountain. That's where I was like, my eyes lit up and became sparkly the way Sanji said when he talked about the fish. And I was like, I'm in love with this man. Not only, like, that's when I was like, oh, it isn't like, right, it is it's a gag where he takes care of Nami and women, but it's like, and it is a literal bit and gag, but it is more than that. Like, it's sincere. Like, it's not insincere. Like, I used, like, talking about the criticism of people being like, oh, it's transactional. That's what made me realize it's not transactional. Like, yeah. Even if, and you see throughout the series, Sanji's very happy for a woman to beat him and say no. He loves that. He loves to be hit by a woman, number one. Submissive and breedable. Okay? You can bleep it out. I don't care. If you got to. Okay? Whatever.
I remember too.
Put the Laboon wang sound over anything you want to bleep, because I'm sure I'm swearing a lot. You don't usually put swearing on your channel.
No, that's fine. It's 18.
Okay.
It's 18 plus.
Beautiful. So that was when I was like, it's not transactional for Sanji, because would he love to get a little action? Oh, I'm sure he would. And I've written about it in my fan fiction.
The fan fiction is on here, but we'll get to it.
Okay, we'll get to it. Because I have thoughts. Clearly I have thoughts. But that was the moment where he sacrifices himself for Nami's safety that I realized, like, it's not transactional. He will endlessly behave this way because he truly cares about Nami. Mm-hmm. And he cares about Nami's safety above his own life. And that's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Certainly. I do really love that scene. And I agree with the thing about Luffy locking in. I think the important, like, the significance of that scene is, like, it's Luffy locking in outside of the context of a fight. Because Luffy can always lock in a fight because he always sees a fight as an opportunity to improve himself. And that's, like, a very direct logic for Luffy. So, like, usually it's like, okay, I need to defend my friend, but I'm just, like, need to fight someone and beat someone up. Like, that's very easy for Luffy to do. But if it's, like, I need to not fight, I need to hold Nami still and keep her body, like, safe and just climb this mountain. Like, that was something that took a little bit of extra thought for Luffy in his rubber brain cells that he's got. So, Sanji really saved Nami's life, like, in that situation. Like, that is the reason that she made it to the next island. So so now we can move on to the next point here of, once we do have Vivi on the crew, Nami definitely, after she kind of heals up from this situation and starts brightening up from her sickness, and they're moving on to Alabasta, Chopper's part of the crew, you know, her and Vivi really start becoming a little bit close, and it makes many viewers say, oh, I didn't realize Nami might be, you know, what is Nami's sexuality? Some people say that Nami is lesbian, or is she bisexual?
Right. No one thinks she's straight.
Nobody thinks she's straight, right.
But I certainly think she's bisexual, because very obviously she's all up on Vivi. Mm-hmm. We know in the future she makes comments about certain secretaries.
Certainly, certain secretaries, yeah.
But I think it's very obvious that, like, what I love part about Nami's character is that she experiences sexual harassment in a very relatable way. Like, as a conventionally attractive woman, I experience sexual harassment. Like, you think it's over the top and goonish in One Piece about the type of sexual harassment that Nami receives, but quite frankly, it's really just very accurate to the female experience. Like, that's my lived experience of, I get goonish-ass comments the way Nami does in One Piece. And what I enjoy is that if she gets a goonish-ass comment, either she beats this man over the head, or Sanji beats that man over the head. One of the two beat that man up. But it doesn't mean that Sanji doesn't mean that Nami doesn't like men. Because I get those comments. It doesn't mean I don't like men. Like, okay? I like my man. I certainly don't like other men. And I think Nami's very much the same way because she does enjoy the attention she gets from Sanji. Nami is someone who wants to feel beautiful. She wants to be told, she wants to be acknowledged that she's doing something correctly. She wants to be seen for the value that she brings, and she understands that she brings. Nami has, because of how Nami grew up in a survival mode, she had to learn to be so competent. But what I love about Nami is she never lost her whimsy or her girlhood. And she stays very feminine. And Nami understands she loves being a beautiful woman. She values being a beautiful woman. She values being intelligent and smart. And she wants those things to be acknowledged. So you don't see when Sanji is acknowledging those things, she either smiles at him and is like, yes, or she literally is like, thank you, Sanji. Like, so when she gets positive male attention in that context, you see that Nami very much enjoys it. So I believe Nami is bisexual. You know, we have to bring the evidence that Nami's bisexual, but certainly Nami just loves women.
Yeah, certainly. Women and Sanji, I guess. So,
women and Sanji.
Yeah, it's a very specific
Sanji, which we will explore, is a man who struggles with some internalized misogyny, and only Sanji is like a reverse on gender roles. He's a very feminine man. He takes on traditional feminine gender roles of taking care of others, being hyper empathetic, cooking, obviously.
Pink apron.
He takes on many, many traditional female gender role stereotypes. You see any situation where there's a child involved, Sanji is very protective of children. He's a very feminine man, and you even see when he's in Kabawaka Kingdom, the whole point of that arc, which I believe in that whole bit, is Sanji trying to accept his femininity and work through his toxic masculinity, which I think he doesn't do, which is part of why we have his upcoming failures in Whole Cake, which, again, I haven't watched Whole Cake, but I have a feeling that's the foreshadowing is that Sanji actually didn't train the way he needed to in the time skip. And that's what leads to the failing in Whole Cake. But we'll get there. But that's why we see any man that Nami is interested in, I believe it's Sanji because he's a very feminine man.
I like this idea. So,
but not that Sanji isn't masculine, like,
in Alabasta,
trust.
in Alabasta he fights Mr. 2, Bon Clay.
Yes.
Right, that's his
his
opponent because he's a kicking fighter, but also foreshadowing.
Anytime I see anyone kick,
Kawabaka.
Anytime I see anyone kick anything, I'm like, well, Sanji's gonna be fighting this one. Or anytime I see a sword pulled out, you're just like, well, Zoro's gonna fight this guy if he ever finds him. Other characters, sometimes it's a little less obvious who's gonna fight who, but those two you pretty much know immediately.
The highest level person is just Luffy, but everyone else you're like, I don't really know. If it's like a lady, it's probably Nami.
Right.
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
So...
Yeah, but that's something too, his fight with Bon Clay,
yes.
is that even the depiction of Nami, he cannot hit.
Mm-hmm.
He can't even bring himself, he knows it isn't Nami.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you have a little bit, you do the bit where he goons a little bit like, oh, Nami. But, like, it's a gag, it's a funny show. Like, inherently there's going to be, it's a show, every character has a gag, every single one. And I know people find his gag more annoying than others. And they say it's disruptive. But certainly I think it's more disruptive when Zoro's lost for 12 episodes at a time. Certainly that's literally more disruptive. And yes, this is disruptive because he struggles to fight Bon Clay because he literally cannot hit the depiction of Nami. Like, he literally can't conceive of hitting the idea of Nami. Mm-hmm. And there's something about a man that literally, in a life or death situation, can't hit a depiction of you that it would never hurt Nami if he hit Bon Clay while Bon Clay was disguised as Nami. It would never have affected Nami. He would never even had to have told Nami. And if anything, Nami, if she was there, would have been like, beat his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Nami would be screaming at him like, hit that bitch! Like, because she would have been far more concerned with his safety, but like, he literally is like, I would rather die than even conceive of hitting the idea of a woman, especially a woman I care about. And we see this time and time again, that he cannot hit a woman, and I think that there is nothing stronger than a man who couldn't conceive of hitting a woman.
Very nice. Yes, it does further exemplify Sanji's morals on just, you know, he has certain morals, he sticks to them very hard, and he can't bring himself to violate them, because that would be a violation of who he is, and therefore he would rather just die. And that's a very, like, compelling way to write a character, I think.
Right, and then you also, it's really interesting, because that's the first time you have him and Chopper teaming up, and him and Chopper are the two, again, I believe the two most empathetic characters on the crew. And you get to see, once again, it's Sanji or Nami tends to be the brains behind an operation. The reason the plot actually moves forward tends to be because Sanji or Nami does something useful. And, right, Sanji is the one who essentially gets them released from, well, he causes the distraction and lures Crocodile out. And, like, no one else is pulling off full operations.
No.
Literally no one. No one has a plan except Sanji or Nami ever. And that's established in Alabasta.
Yeah. That's true. And that's why they have to bring in the law, because Sanji and Nami don't know anything about the new world. They're like, wait, we actually need someone to make plans that knows anything about the new environment that we're in. So that's pretty interesting, I think. But after the old Alabasta, we go to... I mean, we have that interesting scene in the bar.
Do you want to talk about, because we're kind of near past the point, East Blue is done, do we want to talk about live action Sanji, since that kind of lines up with everything we just talked about?
That's a good idea. I think it's best to get it out of the way, because, look, I've watched the live action season 1, I'm gonna watch the live action season 2, but... And I like it. I do like it. I think that there is some elements to it that are a little strange, but I think it can be seen as camp, and it will be seen as a very cultural camp piece historically. But the casting is very interesting and varied, and we have certain commentary about our dear Sanji.
Okay, so I have commentary about Sanji and Nami. So, not the actress's fault playing Nami, but the writing for Nami, thanks, I fucking hate it. Let's tomboy Nami. How about fuck you, eat shit, and die? Nami is a girly pop. Nami would listen to Kesha. Nami would listen to Addison Rae. Nami would listen to Britney Spears. She would love Britney Spears' Blackout. Nami likes to go shopping. She likes to get her nails done. She likes to wear perfume. She likes dressing in cute little clothes. She likes being served in girly pop. She speaks in a high-pitched voice. Nami and I nearly have, like, identical voices. Like, Nami's a girly pop. Through and through. She's a 2000s girly pop. She is exactly who, like, but I love Nami because I see myself in Nami so much, because she's very strong, she's lived through very intense trauma, and the way she handled that trauma, I dealt with my trauma very similarly, and she's been through some tough shit. She's a bad bitch, she's the type of girly pop who gets tattoos. I clearly I have tattoos, you can't really see them, I got the spider here, but it's like, she's a tough bitch. She's a gangster, okay? I really relate to this, but she's a girl. She's a girly pop. And the live action wants to make her a tomboy. They want to make her good at combat. Nami is not until post-time skip. Nami's not good at combat. She shouldn't have to be good at combat to be useful. And the crew... It's her value comes from her intelligence and her strength and her ability to plan. She doesn't have to be good at combat to be useful to the crew. She doesn't have to be masculine for the crew to value her. And I hate that the One Piece live action leans into Nami has to be masculine to inherently have worth, and that pisses me the hell off. I don't like that interpretation. The actress is doing a lovely job working with what she has, but oh my god, I hate the writing of Nami in that, and I hate how they dress her.
Word.
I hate really...
The costumes in general?
I just don't like the costumes.
Award-winning costume designer?
Well, yes, I am an award-winning costume designer. Yes, technically I was the best costume designer in the state of Indiana for multiple years. Well, yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Certainly.
And the costumes, my problem with them is they look like costumes. They look like cosplays. A show should feel lived in. These characters wear these clothes every day. They shouldn't look, other than Sanji's clothes, shouldn't look nicely ironed and like we're going to a convention. Yeah. They should look lived in.
Mm-hmm.
I want Luffy to look like a dirty little gremlin. His clothing should be greasy.
Yeah.
His clothing should be battered.
Yeah, we're watching House
Zoro
of the Dragon
too.
right now, and like they do
their
costuming so
fantastic.
excellently.
Right.
Especially like you're in a weird fantasy world, and the royals are wearing stuff that's like historically inspired, but still like fantasy-esque.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have that lived-in element, and it's made out of materials that make sense.
Right.
And
all of this looks like fucking polyester. The only character who looks right is Buggy to me, but Buggy's inherently ridiculous. Zoro looks too put together. That man needs to look dingy. That man, I really feel like the energy
like Zoro
in the
doesn't
live
have a
action,
skincare routine. Like,
Zoro doesn't have a skincare routine. That man is oily and disgusting. Okay? He's a disgusting man. This feels like a school play of One Piece. And that's fine. I agree. The campness of it, girl, whatever. And I saw recently... I love these guys, the podcasters from the Escape Pod. I love their podcast. I listen to it occasionally, and I usually agree with, oh gosh, I can't remember the one guy's name now. Sorry, I don't remember. Every man's name is the same. Every man's name is the same. I'm sorry. Alex, James, Jeff, Joey, Ethan, you all have the same name. I'm not going to remember a man's name as much as I enjoy your podcast. I'm sorry. But the one guy who likes The Last Jedi, which he's right about that. But he said recently that he thinks the live action is better than the anime. And surely he's completely wrong. So it is interesting. I agree with him most of the time because I agree with it. I agree with his Star Wars hot takes. And no one agrees with my Star Wars hot takes.
Yeah.
But he recently said that he thinks the live action is better than the anime, and I really feel like that's right. Tell that story.
Wait, quick story time. We were literally wearing these cosplays at...
No, we weren't. We weren't even in cosplay.
I thought this was on Halloween.
No, this wasn't on Halloween.
Why were we talking about One Piece then?
Because I put One Piece on.
Okay.
I was working at this bar. I was in charge of the TVs.
I'm lost.
And I would always put on One Piece in the background. And okay.
Yeah, so One Piece was on in the background. It was one of those YouTube supercuts of like all of the East Blue arc basically, so
this older couple sits down.
Right, yeah, an older couple sits down, and I'm not sure if we're talking about One Piece or if he just asks you about it and says, "Oh, did you put this on? Like this is One Piece, right? I love One Piece." And so we started asking him, like, oh,
and he's like easily in his 50s. Him and his wife are on vacation. They're drunk, and he keeps doing something like he's like the gum fruit. Like he's like going crazy.
Yeah, I didn't have that. He's like really drunk, yeah.
Like,
but he was
like,
doing like
I'm
Luffy.
Gonna be king of the pirates.
Yeah.
We're at a bar.
He was doing full Luffy emotes in real life.
Yeah, he was.
But we get to the point of asking him, like, where are you at in the show? And he said, oh, I finished it. And
we're like, you're up to current.
So you're up to current. Like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like,
because really this is like a 50-year-old white guy.
You really locked into 1,200 episodes of the anime. Like, that's kind of interesting. And he's like, yeah, I finished it in like a week. And he's like, I love the actors in it. And we're like, you mean the One Piece live action? He's like, yeah, the one on Netflix, right? And
we're like, you know, there's a whole anime, right? He didn't know the anime existed.
He was watching the One Piece anime that was on and thinking it was some kind of like
original
edit, like original animation of One Piece live action. Like, this is truly the one of the weirdest like interactions I've ever had around One Piece.
And I had orange hair. I have orange hair. I'm wearing a wig, but it's just the wig is more shaped to Nami's hair cut, so I have the wig on. But I have orange hair. I dye my hair orange, and he even was like, I was like, yeah, we're gonna be Sanji and Nami for Halloween, and he was like, you look like Nami, and you look like Sanji. He was like, what? His wife is just like, it was hilarious. Anyways, that was a short interlude story.
But yeah, the moral of the story is that if you work somewhere where you control the TVs, just put One Piece on.
Yep.
I was gonna get through like Water 7 pretty much and get to like Sanji Peak on Water 7. His train scene, people really like that.
Mm-hmm. We're skipping Skypiea, and I definitely have things to say about Skypiea.
Skypiea.
Not Skypiea.
Fine.
No way they go right from Skypiea to Water 7. No, because they have
G8.
I have things to say about Skypiea. I don't want to hear about Skypiea. I don't want to hear that.
You had called it Skypiea after we finished it.
No, I called it Skypiea while I was watching it. But now that I finished it, I disagree. I disagree because you can't do Skypiea because then you don't know what the poneglyphs are. Or I guess you do.
You know from Alabasta.
You know from Alabasta, but like you don't really know what they look like or what they are. Like you get a much better idea of what a poneglyph is, and also then the Goldie Rogers of it all in the poneglyph. I don't think you can do Skypiea just for that scene alone, but also to establish the Sky Islands. That makes sense for the time skip for Nami to be on a Sky Island. I think that also, just again, the characterizations of everyone. Also, the first time we see a Logia. No, it's not the first time, but it's like seeing that Logia fight. Second time we see a Logia fight. However, it's too entertaining with the fact that, and I somehow didn't realize it right before they were fight, like, he's made of electricity. I was like, oh, he can't, like, he's not gonna do shit to Luffy because he's made of rubber. Like, it was so great, that moment. That moment is so good. Also, I love it for I don't know, it's just a fun character deep dive. It's not that serious. Maybe it is that serious, but, like, in the grand scheme of One Piece, not that serious of an arc. And I think it's a fun character deep dive. It characterizes something that prolongs with Chopper of, like, him wanting to feel useful to the crew, you know?
Certainly, we get some good Chopper fight scenes, yeah.
The characterization of Robin more so, and that Robin's on that archaeology grind set. Like, I don't think you can do Skypiea, and I don't think you should Skypiea.
There is also last note on Skypiea, unless you had anything else?
I certainly have lots to say on Skypiea.
Go on.
This is why it's not Skypiea.
Go on.
One, I don't like Conus.
Okay.
Her little bitch ass, moaning and whining, and, right, what I enjoy is, right, Sanji's gooning, because that's what he does, and he's like a literal angel. Okay, to be fair, it's a literal angel woman. Sanji loves women. That was mind-blowing, and I think that's fair. And, right, Nami's that was the first time we see Nami getting a little agitated. Also, they're building the Cloud Men, and they build all the crew, and Sanji's like, right then Nami disappears. And everyone's like, Nami will be fine. And Sanji's like, he's getting annoyed. They're building the Cloud Men, and he destroys all of them except the Nami and Robin ones, which, again, he can't even hit a Cloud iteration of a woman. I love that. And then everyone's like, Nami's gonna be fine. And then he's like, throughout until they get back to Nami, everyone's just like, Nami's gonna be good, over and over again. Nobody's really concerned. And, he's like, we have to find Nami. Guys, like, and again, he is so, and then he's ready to leave Conus. He even says, he's like, it kills me to leave Conus right after I met her. Like, I hate to leave her. Like, she's so beautiful. He's like, but Nami needs me. Like, I have to go. Like, I have to leave. Nami's in trouble, and as much as I enjoy her company, like, I don't give a shit about Conus' religious trauma, and I think she's really annoying and a sellout. And whatever, I can say that because I beat religious trauma, okay? So if you can't beat religious trauma, you're conus, and I think you're lame and you need to deconstruct. Anyways, the Christian God is just as real as Eneru is, okay? Eneru's more real.
You're telling me he's a dude with lightning powers?
Yeah. So, Sanji's like, we have to go find Nami. And then there's this little bit scene where him, and I don't remember who, are looking in, like, binoculars, and they're seeing Nami on, like, the wave glider, and Sanji's like, Nami, and whoever he's with is like, what's wrong? He's like, she put her shirt back on.
Yep.
And that's the type of bit that people don't like. They're like, he's being a perv. But, and I know technically, like, that's not technically her man's, like, they're not in a relationship. I truly believe they're in a very toxic situationship that I find very relatable to when we first started going out. We toxic situationship a little bit, trust. But we made it work. And, like, quite frankly, and I say this all the time, you can cancel me for saying this, okay? I do not care. If I had my biddies out, I have a bikini on, like, the first time he ever saw me in a bikini, okay? If I then put a shirt on, he's my man, I would want him to feel devastated. I'd want you to feel devastated by me putting a t-shirt on. Okay? If a man really loves you, he's gonna feel devastated when you put that t-shirt on after the first time he's seen you in a bikini. Okay? And...
You heard it here.
Right, maybe not his best moment, and it's a gag, it's funny. I'm sorry, that bit's hilarious. That's where I'm like, y'all can't take a joke. That's hilarious, because he truly is worried about Nami. And everyone's like, man, Sanji's really worried about Nami. And then he's like, no, she put a shirt back on. That's hilarious. That's so funny. And I stand by him saying that. And I would hope my boyfriend would do the same. And he doesn't do those comments about other women. It is, like, he does comment on other women. But he doesn't be like, oh, no, she put her shirt back on about, like, other women other than Nami. And I do believe that is because, and I know Oda said that there's no relationships. But a situationship is not a relationship. Or he said there's no romance. Whatever. Girl, whatever. I think you're a liar. Oda, I think you're a liar. And that is because I'll go into my other thing. This is a good time to bring up. I believe Oda sees himself in Sanji. That's why he's given Sanji the most arcs. He gives him more page time and does cooler things in the manga. Toei Animation, you want to screw over my boyfriend, Sanji, and I'm coming for you. I'm just very angry at Toei Animation for constantly being a Zoro glazer. They let Zoro look 100% cooler. Then they up Sanji's gags and make them 100 times gaggier than they are in the manga, and you're gonna piss me off. Toei Animation does Sanji dirty, and a lot of the bits that you guys don't like are put in by Toei Animation and are not written by Oda. So you don't dislike Sanji, you dislike Toei's bullshit. Oh, but I think Oda sees himself in Sanji, right? Also, he's married to an actress who has played Nami. And I think he sees himself the most in Sanji. Because you always have in writing, I know this as a writer, you have the one character that you, as the author, put yourself in that position. I don't think he sees himself as Luffy because he has directly written Luffy as an epic. He has written him as, like, a literal godlike character. And so I don't see Oda having a god complex because of the innate messaging of his work that everyone is equal and he believes in equality and freedom. I don't believe he has a god complex and sees himself in Luffy. I believe the character he sees himself in is Sanji because Sanji is the character that embodies all the messages of the show the most. He embodies, I mean, so do all the characters on the crew, but he embodies that, like, freedom and breaking away from the rigid structure of normal things and breaking the norms. And also, we've seen how Oda draws women. Oda loves women. And I don't even really, like, I wish the characters had more body types in One Piece. I think that'd be a good thing. But also Oda has spoken on the reason that, like, Nami dresses the way that she dresses. Like, it's not fan service. He doesn't see it as fan service because Nami is so confident and she likes seeing herself that way. She likes dressing that way. And as an attractive woman, I agree that I like to dress. Nami and I dress exactly the same. I dressed just like Nami before I watched the show, which is again when I saw the show, I was like, this 2000s baddie. I love her. Okay, and Oda loves Nami. He literally is married to an actress who played Nami, and who sims after Nami the most? Sanji, and Sanji embodies all the themes of the show. So I believe every writer has a character that they see themselves in, and they put themselves in the narrative. It happens to every writer, whether it's intentional or not, and I believe that character is Sanji. So if you want to come for Sanji, you're coming for Oda. And I've said it.
And she said it right there.
Oh, okay, back to Skypiea.
We're on Skypiea.
We're still on Skypiea.
We're not skipping.
Sanji's so cool in this arc. He literally, once again, risks his life to save Nami. What I also love is he pulls Usopp up there, and he has a line where he's like, I'd gladly give your life for Nami's. Like, he
says, yeah, to save Nami, I'd gladly sacrifice your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you think he's gonna say sacrifice my life.
Right.
But he's like, Usopp, I'll let you die for that woman. He would let anyone on the crew die for Nami.
Yep.
He doesn't care. And he goes up there, he faces a literal, what has been told, a god. He would face down God himself to protect Nami. He would let a friend he genuinely cares for die. A friend he genuinely cares for die.
He gets almost killed, yeah.
He gets almost killed. They still beat Eneru, and then at the same time, he goes out the coolest way possible and is like, I've been needing a light.
Yeah, he goes into the ship, messes up all the gears and
yeah!
Right, he does another thing where Sanji goes and splits off from the crew, does something that literally saves the entire arc, and causes the ship to lose power, at least temporarily, so the crew can win. And so, you have that, and then he gets smacked by Eneru, lights a cigarette, and he's like, I've been looking for a light, as his entire body is, like, on fire.
Right.
So,
and that's hard.
It is pretty hard.
The fact is, that is so tough. The fact that he would do that to protect Nami is just, that's too hard.
Yeah. And in reality, like, after he says that to Usopp, like, he throws Usopp and Nami out of the way and takes that hit.
Of course. It's the same thing about the feeding gag.
Exactly. Skypiea. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you can't skip Pia.
You can't skip that.
You can't skip Pia. And very briefly, just going into, I know you don't want to do all the mini arcs, but whatever, going into, what is that mini arc? The non-canon one that I love.
G8.
G8's hilarious. You also can't skip that. And it's, what is the guy's name? When they throw in the cell, the fake name.
Condoriano.
I think he should have been a reoccurring character.
No, that would have been Pete. Yeah. I think he should have. They should have had him come back. He eats a devil fruit and he joins Blackbeard's crew and becomes like an actual op in the show.
Perfect. No, I think he should have been I know it wasn't canon, so he couldn't be a reoccurring gag, but I think that character had so much potential. That's one of my obscure One Piece characters that I love. That I'll shout out.
I wonder if One Piece the card game has a Condoriano card. They have to. I'm going to order it after this podcast. Yeah. That's
one of my favorite gags in all of One Piece. But also Nami and Sanji getting split up, and Sanji just can't help himself. He's like, Nami and I in the moonlight, and then Nami just beats him over the head. Like, that's just classic interaction that I enjoy. And Sanji never complains when Nami hits him. I'm just going to point it out again. And that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. He loves it.
Oh, Long Ring Long Land. Yeah, we skipped the Foxy fight, but we watched I've watched the whole thing, but I spared Brenly from the Foxy fight.
I just wasn't in a place. I was ready to get to Water 7.
Yeah.
I was really ready because I was really excited to meet Frankie. Mm-hmm. And I was ready for that to happen because at that point, it kind of feels like that's almost like weirdly it's one of the longest periods they go where they don't get a new crew member.
It is, yeah. And
I was like, I'm very ready for the new crew member, and I just was annoyed. I'm going to go back and watch it. The classic Nami Robin 6-7.
Nami Robin 6-7. I think it's Nami's is like 26, and someone edited out this.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Never
but
mind.
it's like, yeah.
Never mind.
But it's good meme.
But I've seen some funny clips from that, and I think now that I am so far into the show, I actually would really enjoy going back and watching that. And I'm glad that I saved it for when I'm now nostalgic for that time period of the show. I'm very happy that I can go back and watch that.
We're gonna rewatch all the filler arcs. We're even gonna rewatch the one with the guy. We're gonna rewatch the one with the guy with the silver devil fruit. Possibly the worst filler arc of all time. We're gonna watch the dragons that make you immortal filler arc.
I don't know about it.
We're gonna watch all of them, man.
He's been skipping these without even telling me. I'm like, what are we talking about?
We're gonna watch the one where they go to like feudal Japan, but it's not Wano.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that and Nami and Sanji run a tea shop together. And are being... Okay, also, I want to mention, the only two characters who were ever depicted as bride and groom in any circumstance are Sanji and Nami. You have that non-canon movie where they're
Luffy and Boa Hancock.
Okay, other than Luffy and Boa Hancock, but that's because Boa's a little deranged. But the only characters you see literally dressed in actual wedding clothes ever are Sanji and Nami. And they're constantly depicted as a bride and groom, and they're always depicted either rescuing each other as a bride or groom, or in the non-canon arc are literally depicted both wearing a bride and groom outfit at the same time. So, explain that one, haters. Explain the repetition of that one.
Which one is that?
It's around this time period. It was written around this same time. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is.
It's one of the movies?
It's one of the movies.
I've only seen one of the movies.
So I'm excited to also go back and watch those.
Yeah. When
I'm feeling nostalgic. Promise, if you think you run out of One Piece content, you never do. My favorite thing about, for a while before they decided let's just reanimate flashback scenes, is when they do the flashback scenes and you have like the weird blue water ripple effect over the map. Mm-hmm. I fucking love that shit, and I wish they kept doing it instead of reanimating it.
Like you're in like an extremely well animated scene in Egghead, and it just cuts back to like like 4x6 frame East Blue.
Right, because that's really what it was like to watch that back in the day, and I want to experience it that way personally. So if anyone ever wants to go back and re-edit the show to have it be that, I would love that, and I'd be grateful for you.
There's certainly a lot of flashbacks in the later show, so they will have time, yeah.
Oh, brother!
Most of them were just flashbacks from 5 minutes before the scene, but...
Of course, surely, trust.
Alright, so... Sanji fights the wolf guy in Ennie's lobby. He has the train scene in Water 7... All in all, in these two arcs, Sanji kind of plays as really a hero. Like, he's really going after it, and he's doing more
He's the driving factor of that.
Like, he's doing the most. He's doing more than literally anybody other than Luffy at the very end, basically. Like, he was like, I'm gonna just solo all of CP9.
Right.
Because I'm the only one who has even the opportunity to do that. And so...
Yeah, and he thinks, and it's so dire, and he knows it's dire. He's like, I could die and that's fine. And what does he do before he leaves? He writes Nami a love letter.
Very important. Very important, very minor detail. And the very important detail is that Oda never, as far as I know, there's not an SBS for this. Oda does not ever reveal what is said in that letter.
And I think Sanji is literally like, I could die. And I need Nami to understand that I am in love with her. And in my fanfiction, trust...
Plug, fanfiction.
Fanfiction plug. Trust that it lines up perfectly and I integrate everything perfectly. And if you ever want to know what I think is in that love letter, you gotta read the fanfiction.
What is the name of it, just to plug it? On AO3?
Oh, The One Piece was a smut we read along the way.
Yes, that's the name.
Trust.
I did forget that that's what it was, but that's hilarious, yeah.
And...
Okay.
And... I, once again, just want to emphasize that it's like, he just truly, in Sanji's mind, is endgame for Nami. And I don't think Nami, I think Nami understands, but also at the same time, like, she understands because she's seeing it all very obviously directly in her face, but I think that she can't even comprehend truly that, like, Sanji is more in love with her than he's ever been in love with another woman. And I think it's repetitively shown that, and it's not a gag, like, that moment, it is a gag where she's like, oh, he wrote me a love letter.
How did he have time to do this?
How did he have time to do this? But she does stop to read it all. And she doesn't share with anyone else what is in it. She's just like, it's a love letter. But it's like, that detail didn't have to be added, that Sanji thinks he's about to die, and he wants to reemphasize that he is in love with Nami. And he says very directly multiple times. He doesn't say this to any other female character. He says it when they're going up Reverse Mountain. He says it in Skypiea. And he says it's a love letter, so you assume it's a declaration of love, and he says it multiple times. The only woman he says point blank that he is in love with and says, like, I love you, is Nami. Maybe I'll get fact checked and I'll be wrong, but I feel like that's true.
Just to reiterate, like, that we're putting, you're putting the focus a lot more on the love letter than I think most people do, because a lot of folks use that series of events where he leaves the crew, goes on the train to rescue Robin. It's like, okay, he would do the self-sacrificial saving a woman thing that he did on Drum for any woman, or for any woman on the crew at least. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people focus on the action of that and say, like, okay, well, it's not really that he loves Nami the most. It's like Nami and, like, now we have Robin. It's like, okay, he just likes women and, like, the women on the crew, like, I think not a lot of people do focus on the love letter aspect of it because it was a little more subtle.
Well, I think the thing is right, the reason Sanji's going after Robin is he's the only one with opportunity, and he understands that. Mm. And it's kind of like, he has to write that love letter to Nami because it'd be like, in spite of my love for you, I have to go save Robin because of my moral code, and I am the only one who has the opportunity to do it. But also, he's the only one truly perceptive enough, to actually understand women on the crew. Mm-hmm. Maybe other than Chopper a little bit, because he's a baby.
Yeah, and he lived with Kureha.
Yeah, and we call him Choppy Baby, and he's a little Choppy Baby.
He is Choppy Baby.
He's Choppy Baby. And so, he's the only one who truly is perceptive enough to understand women. Like, again, he has that line about when a woman lies, it's a man's job to forgive her. Mm-hmm. But he understands that Robin is lying. And even Chopper's like, and Chopper's very gullible. Chopper gets fooled by Sniper King in this arc, trust.
Sniper King?
Right.
Where's Usopp?
Like, Chopper's very gullible, but Chopper is like, oh my gosh, Robin wants to leave the crew. And Sanji's like, no, she doesn't. Mm-hmm. He sees through that, and he understands. It's like Sanji... He
said it immediately when they were in the town.
Yeah, exactly. Sanji understands complex female dynamics. He understands the dynamics of women, and he understands why women lie about things. And he's even perceptive enough in that moment, and he's like, she has to be lying to protect us or to protect herself. Like, otherwise she wouldn't be doing this. And he understands, even though they haven't known Robin very long, they don't know her backstory yet, he is perceptive enough to understand that she does value her relationship with all of them. Mm-hmm. He's able, especially because she is very consistently, Robin does show gratitude towards Sanji when Sanji gives her food or something, and you can even see Robin isn't very accustomed to that, and she has a reaction to it, and he picks up on that.
She always, like, smiles and thanks him, just like very, like, sweetly.
Right. And the thing is, too, what a little detail I love is that he calls Nami Swan, because that prefix Swan is a term for women actually who are older. And Chan is one, he says,
it's a modified,
Robin Chan is for younger women. And Sanji also understands female dynamics enough to know that young women want to be told, oh, you look so mature, like you're such a beautiful, mature woman. So Nami's very young, so he calls her Nami Swan to be like, you beautiful, mature woman. Whereas Robin's older, and older women always want to hear, oh, like, you're such a young lady still. And so he calls her Robin Chan. Mm-hmm. So he very much understands women. Does he fumble the ball and get any action? No. But he does understand women, I'd argue.
I've never even heard that specific point, honestly. Yeah, that's very interesting.
I'm an endless wealth of knowledge when it comes to this man.
Yes, Nami Swan. I think my laptop just died, I'm not gonna lie. We're back. Okay.
So, on top of that, then you do have him busting it down sexual style on the train, killing those men.
He is really spreading it.
He's really serving. Yeah. He beats up that whole train.
Yeah.
It's so impressive, and I really think it establishes just how strong Sanji is. I think that's the moment where I think up to that point you don't really take it seriously that like he's the strongest compared to Zoro and Luffy. I don't think that was that believable until that moment, and I think that's the moment you really take him as like, oh, he's a fighter as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I love all the memes where it's like Zoro training for, oh my gosh, we never actually got into the live action. I just talked about Nami, I didn't talk about Sanji.
We'll come back to it. You can talk
That's
about
a whole
first.
thing.
It's
That's
fine.
a whole thing.
We can do that to round out the segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I love the memes where it's like Zoro training to compete with a guy who's in the kitchen all day.
Right, and he's lifting like an 8,000-pound barbell, and it's like
Right.
Zoro working to have a five berry higher bounty than a guy who gets his workout defending the fridge from Luffy.
Right.
Right.
But I think Sanji really comes through in that moment, and you really understand how powerful of a fighter he is, because he really bodies that entire train.
Oh, yeah. Right. It's really... He starts to body the CP9, remember? They have to leave out of a portal,
Right,
and then they cut the train off. Like
they're like, we don't want the heat from this guy, and I think surely he would have got his ass kicked.
Because he would have got his ass kicked, but he probably would have destroyed the train car in a way that would have been harder for them
disruptive.
to transport Robin.
Right.
And I think they were seeing that.
Right.
You know?
They took him seriously.
They did, yeah. Yeah. Because they were like, he did tank about 200 of our guys in about 5 minutes. So.
And that is the only time, because the fight with the cook on that ship, that they're fighting with food, you see him do something other than kicking fighting style, and he uses the knives.
Yes,
and
that's really one of the only times.
Once again, it is reiterated that Sanji can kick your face so hard that you can become handsome.
It was the first time, yeah.
The first time.
It was foreshadowing for Dear Duval.
That's how powerful Sanji is. He has so much aura.
Because he didn't like that guy using... The guy was using Wanzi, if you remember. We should get a Wanzi trading card, too. We need all the most obscure One Piece trading cards. No, I don't like that guy. He's weird looking. He has pasta coming out of his nose. But he was fighting with pasta. He's not there's way freakier Bobs in the show. He was throwing pasta, and Sanji didn't like someone fighting with food because it's wasteful.
Yeah.
And that's when he got really pissed and just said, I need to just take this guy out. Like, I don't have time. And he picks up knives and just starts going crazy. And it's like, Sanji never trains with anything other than just cutting up food. And he's still, like, top-tier swordsman. Like,
right, like, bro, Zoro wouldn't want that heat.
Like, Mihawk even is shaking right now.
Right.
He's, like, really...
Surely we've seen Sanji do more with a knife than Mihawk with a sword.
Mihawk really be like one slash and then just like hockey blast everyone into like oblivion. And
they're like, and then they get right back up.
How is that a level of technique at all? But, you know, the technique is in painting the sword. Right. So, the Enies Lobby arc in terms of Sanji really wraps up. Sorry, my dear. Oh, I don't mean to barely tap your hat. It wraps up with Sanji, you know, he beats Jabra, the wolf guy. There's kind of the whole Sanji Zoro. We get a little bit of their rivalry kind of kicking back in just because they're both kind of parallel fighting. I think it would have been funnier if they'd had, like, it was really funny to have Zoro, or have Usopp handcuffed to Zoro, but having Zoro and Sanji handcuffed to each other would have been really funny. I don't know. That would have been peak. Like, that would have been really funny.
Then you have the iconic Khalifa fight.
Oh, yeah.
Where Nami's like... Right, I think her exact line is, I'd like to have a secretary like that.
Well, yeah, and I'm not going to get into it. If you know the scene. I'm not honestly going to describe it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Khalifa is in the tub.
Khalifa's definitely
got the soap fruit.
Top 10 freak bobs in One Piece.
Yeah, top 10 freak bobs in One Piece. Sanji can't hit her. She turns him into soap, knocks him to the ground, and then Nami sees what's been done to her boy, and she's like, I gotta go defend him. Nami's never really fought anyone in the history of the show. And this is where she puts her foot down.
She kind of fought the Spike Lady in Alabasta.
She kind of fought the Spike Lady in Alabasta.
I mean, she got stabbed like 4 times.
Right,
like, it did not
she kind of
sucked. Yeah,
she tried her best. I love her, but she tried her best. This is the first time where she's like, I'm gonna go fight a bitch. And she's like, also like, she put a hand on Sanji. And
no, she takes it personally. Like, you see her take it personally.
And she goes upstairs and beats that woman's ass for touching Sanji.
I think especially because it was a lady, like...
Right. She knew that she took advantage of Sanji.
Exactly.
Because he couldn't fight back.
So that made her more mad, yeah.
And so Nami was like, you gotta leave this up to me. But she did want her at the same time.
She was playfully mad at Sanji of, like, you idiot, like, you can't fight a woman. But then, like, she was more mad that he got taken advantage of and turned into a soap creature.
Right.
But then, yeah, the line was, after Khalifa appears in her certain outfit that she's wearing.
She's not wearing one.
Exactly. And Nami says, yeah, I wish I had a secretary like that. Oh, wait, I'm totally thinking like an old man right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Nami loves women.
Yeah.
Nami briefly thinks about not beating her up for the same reason Sanji thinks about not beating Khalifa up. But eventually...
Less honorable.
but I think, right, it is more even sexualized than...
It is.
Than what comments Sanji makes about women.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think the writing was done on purpose to be like, you know, Sanji's a little bit of a freak, but like, there's...
Sanji's like,
even
oh
Nami's
my gosh,
like,
beautiful lady!
Even Nami's like, kind
and
of
Nami's like,
yeah.
I want her sexually.
It's like...
That's what Nami's like. Nami's like, I want her as my secretary. Like, Sanji wouldn't dare think a woman should be a submissive secretary.
No.
He's like, this beautiful woman is so strong in her stilettos and her black dress and her fishnet tights. She's such a strong, powerful, sexy woman. I can't hit such a strong, powerful, sexy woman. Where Nami's like, she's a whore. Like, let me at her. Like, that's what Nami was doing. Nami canonically sexualizes women in a more aggressive sexual nature than Sanji does.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's the truth. That's the truth!
I think Nami physically touched Vivi like 100 times more than Sanji.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
there's
they
something to
cozied
that.
up.
And Kami even.
Yeah. And the thing about why Sanji and Nami work when they eventually become endgame is because they are the only couple I know who can really handle an open relationship in the sense of they're going to date women together. That's why they're perfect for each other. So they both want to date women together. That's their life. That's what they're about. And if you can't see it, you're wrong.
Cultural, if you will. Yeah, the Sanji and Nami see you from across the bar and they like your vibe. What do you do?
Not that we if you approach my boyfriend, I will punch you. That's it between me and Nami. Sorry.
Pretty much the only difference, but
That's pretty much the only difference between me and Nami.
So, that brings us pretty much to the end of Any's lobby, so... Oh, thank you.
Yep.
So... We do still need to touch... We talked about live-action Nami. We do need to get into the live-action Sanji. Because this is, in fact, a Sanji episode. We have to address all Sanjis. Even him.
I hate this man. I don't even care. I know you're a real person and actor. Listen, I want you to know I hate your interpretation of Sanji, and I don't think you understand the text at all. Because... recently a photo came out that made me, as Sanji's #1 glazer, feel anger in my core. And people are glazing this man online. And that's when it's all the Sanji haters love live action Sanji. Because they want Sanji to behave like Zoro. And the man who plays live action Sanji, I don't know his name. He's British. And I don't care. I'm not going to learn a man's name. I'm not going to unless I respect you.
She's Irish.
Even the ones that I like the guys I was talking about earlier from that podcast. I don't know your guys' names. All white guys have the same names, okay? #1, they casted a British man. Sanji's not British. That's a little French boy, okay? And #1, I think he's an objectively attractive man. I don't think he's ugly by any means, but I don't think he's a pretty boy. I think he's beefier, which is fine. That's what some women are into. Like, but whatever. But like, Zoro's a beefcake, okay? Sanji's not a beefcake. Sanji is a skinny Frenchman. He's lanky. He's built. Trust, he's built and he's strong. But he's not a beefcake. And that's the whole meme of the whole show, and the dynamic between Sanji and Zoro is that Zoro's out here fighting for his life to be slightly incrementally better than Sanji, and Sanji's in the kitchen and he still can compete with Zoro. That's a whole bit in the whole show. And recently, the guy playing live action Sanji posted he's always posting workout videos. And I know the actor is inherently different from Sanji, but he's always and only talking about Sanji. Also, this clip could have been taken out of context, and I didn't research it as fully as I should, but he said something about, like, One Piece not being political. So
we'll have another episode about One Piece being political, because that's a whole nother topic.
Thinking One Piece isn't political and saying that, one, I'm going to punch you in your face. I don't care who you are. And then also, he's always posting this gym content. And Sanji just would never post gym content. Like, Sanji takes care of himself. He's charming. He's the only male member of the crew who showers daily. But he's not vain. And I find the guy who plays Sanji extraordinarily pretentious. And yes, he's putting the work in, whatever. He's doing these flips and whatever. But I just find the constant gym photography of himself to be very self-indulgent and annoying. And Sanji would never do that. And he's like, I'm doing this as a representation of Sanji. Sanji would never do that. And I understand him better than you do. Okay? I don't care that you're playing him. I don't care that you're making a checkup of playing him. I know Sanji better than you do. I know Sanji's heart and soul, and you know nothing. And then recently he posted this obnoxious photo of him wearing, like, an air mask while lifting weights. That's some bullshit Zoro would do. That's not some shit Sanji's on. Get in the kitchen! Learn to cook. If you really cared about playing Sanji accurately, he would have been, instead of being in the gym, you would have been taking cooking classes so they could take video of you, like footage for the show, of him accurately cooking, really chopping some shit up real fast. But no, you didn't get in the kitchen, you got in the gym, and that's why you don't understand Sanji. He doesn't understand Sanji. I think his representation of Sanji is dry and pathetic, and pathetic because it's not pathetic enough. Sanji is a pathetic simp. I saw this post recently that was like, Oda had to make Sanji a simp because if he didn't, he'd be a man with no flaws. Imagine a man who's compassionate, cares about his friend, cares about protecting women, cooks for people, his favorite thing is acts of service, and on top of that is a prince. If he wasn't a simp, no one would be like, he's not the perfect man. But God forbid a boy who's perfect has one measly flaw. Okay? And the live action Sanji does not convey that. He doesn't convey it. And Sanji's not in the gym. And Sanji's not a beefcake. Sanji has an itty bitty waist. And that's what's sexy about Sanji. Sanji has an itty bitty man waist that you can grab. Okay? That's what I like about Sanji. Yes, he's lean and toned, and he is muscular, but he's not a beefcake, and he's certainly not working out to the point of, like, I need an oxygen mask, like, I'm working out so hard I'm gonna pass out. Shut the fuck up, and I hate you. And we can fight. I don't care how muscular you are, I'll beat the fuck out of you. I hate this interpretation of Sanji, and I think the actor, he seems like a dick. I don't care that you're famous. Fuck you. I think your interpretation of Sanji's horrible, and I think you're a mid-actor.
You heard it here first, folks.
I don't care.
I largely agree.
Good job.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's certain aspects that, like, in the live action where some of the passion and the, like, they're just, like, immense, like, volume of joy that you get from these characters in those early arcs doesn't come through because they are kind of toned down to be a little bit cooler, you know?
Right.
Both in the case of Nami and Sanji.
Those are the characters they mess up. The characters I like in the live action
like they try
are everyone else.
Right. Like, they try to make them both a little bit more, like, cool and relatable to a normal person, but, like, I think part of what makes them so interesting and so vibrant as characters is that they are very quirky and, like, they are kind of odd. And, like,
everyone on the crew is a freak.
Yeah, like, you couldn't have these kind of world-conquering ambitions without being kind of a weirdo. Like, you can't. And I think that's part of the point of the show.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. And my favorite... I think the guy who plays Luffy is so phenomenal. He understands the spirit of the character, and, like, he fully, like, has learned Japanese to speak to the Japanese fans. Right, and, like, I don't know a man's name. Trust, I don't know. I don't know a man's name.
I'm bad with actors' names generally,
I just
but
don't
I
know
follow
a
some of them on
man's
Instagram,
name, okay?
so I see it, like, come up.
I had to unfollow the guy who plays Sanji, because originally I followed him because I'm a Sanji simp, and I was like...
And then you're like...
And then I unfollowed him because he's disrespectful to Sanji. But the guy who plays Luffy, like, he learned Japanese to speak to the fans. Like, the thing is about, like, Luffy reaches people. So the fact that he understands the text because he learned a different language to communicate with where the core of the fan base is.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he's doing...
That is Luffy.
Yeah, he's doing the job.
And the guy who plays Zoro is fantastic. I think he's a little too pretty boy. It's weird, because now in this next season, the way things have been shaping up, it's like, Sanji's gonna be beefier than Zoro, which I'm not shitting on the guy who plays Zoro. The guy who plays Zoro is doing a great job, but it's like, as the actor playing Sanji, chill your fucking cool, because you need to not be beefier than Zoro. You're trying to steal the spotlight right now, and I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah.
And they
it is a
tomboyed up.
Sanji. It is very Sanji to do a meat measuring contest with Zoro, like, you know.
And I think Usopp is fantastic casting too. I thought Buggy was great casting.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared for season 2 of Chopper. Chopper scares the hell out of me. I'm so scared. Uncanny Valley Chopper. That's not Choppy Baby. That's sleep paralysis Chopper.
You watched the full trailer?
Oh, trust.
Okay. Because I feel like
I think Vivi looks great. I think Robin looks great. Trust, I'm terrified of Chopper. Trust, I'm having nightmares about him.
Yeah, I know, because... And
the voice actress, I'm sorry, I know she's doing whatever's her best she's doing, but the voice is horrible. And I can tell you're a grown woman doing, like, a baby voice. I feel like the actual Chopper voice actor for the anime, it sounds like a little boy.
Mm.
Whereas, you can tell the voice actor for Chopper is a woman doing a little boy voice. Mm. And I hate that in voice acting.
I see.
And I've done voice acting... So, I feel qualified to comment on it.
Yeah.
And the live action's hit or miss for me. I think it's a great way to get, if you're a long-term One Piece fan, I think it's a great thing to get your parents into it, because they can watch the whatever 8 episodes it is, and then they'd be like, I understand what my child has been obsessed with for the past 2 decades. You know? I think it's great for that, but outside of that, I don't think it's as great as everyone says. That's just me.
Right, and you've put a lot of people on, because some people say, oh, it's a great way to put people onto One Piece because it gets through 50 episodes of the anime in 8 episodes.
No.
But you've put a lot of people onto One Piece through just watch the East Blue arc. I sit down with me and watch the East Blue arc, and by the end of it, they basically know whether or not they're going to watch the rest of the show. Yeah. So.
It's... Right, One Piece is long, and I think people see that as a problem, but I think if you understand that it's an epic... Mm-hmm. It needs to be that long. Yes. An epic cannot be short. It's an epic. And structurally, One Piece is an epic.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
So, I could break that down further, but that's not the point. We're talking about Sanji, and I want to get back to the love of my life, Sanji-kun. I love him more than you, I'm sorry. Thank God. You better be thanking your lucky stars that the real-life, live-action Sanji, the guy playing him, like, he dropped the ball, all for your benefit.
Like, Oda and all of these long-term manga writers...
I'm joking, of course, and I love you.
It's fun, yeah.
Oh, right, he does open it, so to finish off Enies Lobby, Sanji is the one who opens the gates of justice. And once again, Sanji being useful, they literally all would have died without him. And I'm sick of people saying, like, Sanji is not helpful. He is the most useful, and multiple times... does something clever that truly saves the day. Like, sure, like, yes, Luffy finally beat up, what's the guy? Lucci. Rob Lucci. He does beat him up, and he defeats the big bad. But that would have not mattered. They all would have died if Sanji hadn't figured out how to open up the gates.
True. And same with Inaru. It's like...
Right.
If he hadn't, like, messed up the ship, like,
same with him causing the distraction for, Crocodile, like
he's always there at the key moment because he's very aware of what's going on. He's perceptive,
and he saves the day. And I'm sorry, you just don't see Zoro having the same impact. The Zoro Glazers want to act like Zoro's more useful than Sanji. Doubt.
You heard it here. Thriller Bark is a very key arc for Sanji,
Yes,
I think.
that's the divisive arc.
It's certainly divisive, but on my rewatch, with more sympathy for Sanji, I really saw Sanji shine in this arc in a lot of ways.
Okay, I want to hear you say it.
Because, okay, so the framing of it is, there's a few moments in One Piece, obviously, where people say, Sanji, you're out of pocket, you're doing too much. And one of them was in this arc, so I'll just run it through the timeline. So, people say that Sanji's a freak, and...
He is.
And he is, maybe he is. But he's not a Freak Bob. And on this island we meet Freak Bob. Because this guy is like...
He's a perv.
But he's in the files. Like, he's all over the files, probably.
Yeah.
Like, because he's on that island. He's and he's in the shower, and there's just too much going on. Like, he literally, they landed on that island 5 minutes ago, and he's in the shower. Like, this guy is a serious problem to society.
He's a predator.
He's a
genuine, like, he's actually a predator animal.
Right, they made him a lion, and a lion man, and made him also a predator. I like the
yeah. Like, he literally licks Nami's neck. Like,
yeah,
it's
so
disgusting. Like, as someone who has been through, like, sexual trauma, like,
it was uncomfortable.
And I see myself in Nami so much, I was so deeply uncomfortable.
No, a lot of fans say that's, like, the most, like, uncomfortable scene in the show. And I agree. It's a lot. And I think that people do question the writing. Just like, okay, did it need to be that much? But
I think it's accurate to the sense of, like, okay, we live in a fantasy reality where we have someone who can be invisible. Like,
they would be that terrible.
Men would be that terrible. And I think Oda's never afraid to show how terrible men are. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the whole point of the series, is that, like, if you're a good person, like, you have to fight the evil men of this world. And that is the point of One Piece. And again, Oda does not stray away from the fact that, like, I think people think for some reason when Nami experiences, or any woman experiences, but mostly Nami, because she's the one who gets the most sexual harassment in the show, I think they see it as some sort of fan service, as like the creepy audience getting a character that's in the thing, but Oda consistently condemns it. Like, you don't get that as much in other animes where they have the perv character. The perv character doesn't usually get the shit beat out of them the way every single perv character in One Piece gets the shit beat out of them. And Sanji, when he crosses the line, he gets the shit beat out of him. But 90% of the time, the women who are close to him that are his friends are not uncomfortable by him. Robin and Nami are... sometimes he overdoes it and Nami hits him over the head. And that is part of the gag, and I think the gag is overdone, but everyone has their gag, and unfortunately, that is Sanji's gag. But I think to only see him as that gag is doing a disservice to all the true character work that has been done with Sanji. And in contrast, when you have a character like, I don't remember this guy's name. Absalom.
Yeah.
With you have Absalom, it's like you're showing that, like, Otis looks like there are true perverts. And this man is knocking Nami unconscious and, like, kidnapping her, you know, and trying to force a marriage upon her. And it's like, what I love through this arc is Sanji's reaction to that. I'm sorry, and you were speaking, and you can continue.
No, you're good. You just segued right into it. Like, when Sanji does find out about that, because he gets his shadow stolen, so he's just straight up unconscious, and then he's a dogwin. And
but even before that, when he finds out that Nami has gone missing and that the Invisible Man has, like, I don't remember how he gets the information, but
that was after his shadow stolen.
It is,
because he missed Nami getting captured, and then he wakes up and he's like...
But it's before that when he finds out and he literally catches on fire.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, great. Okay, you go. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're talking about the same scene. So when Sanji does find out what happens to Nami, or what had happened to Nami, he literally bursts into flames because he starts just completely freaking out as much as we've ever seen him do so. Yeah. And this is the first time that... Because Sanji uses a flame power, essentially, throughout the rest of the show after this. And...
You're saying this is where he develops it?
I mean, the canon suggests that this is literally when he develops that power, and some people say it's a form of hockey. There's one theory channel that calls it a form of elemental hockey that's like a version of, Brooks Ice or Kinemon's Fire is like a form of kind of just a physical hockey manifestation. And they say that Sanji's Diablo Jambe, his spinning fire kick, which he develops during his fight with Absalom in a minute here.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it is one of those kind of elite fighting styles that he unlocks there.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Right. Because how else would his foot be able to withstand literal fire?
Yeah. No, that's true.
It's white hot, It has to be some kind of hockey.
He's so enraged that Nami has been kidnapped and Nami has been violated.
Right, like
the thought of that, he literally bursts into flames, and it's like, I think that moment in the arc is so important, but people, of course, focus on the wrong moment. When he bursts into flames, and he's like, Nami has been violated.
Yeah.
It literally, like, enrages him more than we've ever seen him angry.
Yes.
I don't know if we ever see him. We don't see him that angry when Robin gets kidnapped.
Right. Well,
it's like that's again when we're talking about Sanji's perceptive and understands womanhood. He's like, he understands how terrible what the terribleness is of a woman being violated, and it makes him that angry. I
mean, he's going up against a warlord second in command essentially, and pretty much blast this guy in the next week. I mean, he comes eventually up into the church, and they're, of course, the very last second when they're having a wedding. And
at one point when he's the Dogwin, he also can't hurt Nami, even though he doesn't remember who he is. His soul inherently cannot hurt not only a woman, but especially Nami.
Yeah, I think he defends Nami from the other zombies as well.
He does. And he doesn't know why he's doing it.
He doesn't know why he's doing it.
So that's like, but it's only his soul. It's his shadow. It's only his soul. It doesn't have any of his memories. So to his very soul and core, he loves and Nami and wants to protect her.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. I mean, I think those two moments tie together in this arc. Like, it's so deep to him that, yes, when a little piece of him is removed, it still remembers that. And then when it's the whole of him, it's lit aflame by that feeling, you know? So yeah, he pulls up on Absalom. The problematic moment, if you will, we'll get to it here, because there's just a detail, and it is honestly a relatively minor exchange in the canon, but Absalom says, I have the invisible fruit, I don't remember what it's called. Oh, the clear fruit. That is what it is. And Sanji says, oh my gosh, like, I know about that fruit because I read about it in a book when I was younger. I've always wanted that fruit so I could peep on women.
Yeah. And that's a breaking point for a lot of people with Sanji.
A lot of people are like, damn, bro, now Sanji's just as bad as Freak Bob over here.
Yeah.
Like, that's the connection that people made in that moment, And
one of my very best friends, he brings that moment up every single time we argue about Sanji. He's a big One Piece fan, and of course I'm going to force him to watch this, and by this point he better realize he's wrong, and here's why I'm going to tell you you're wrong. So this argument's very personal to me because I've had it a million times. At the very end of that, right, Sanji's like, I always wanted that fruit, and again, we're doing the gag, and he's like, I always wanted that fruit because I wanted to peep on women, but at the end of it, he condemns it, and he's like, now I realize, like, thank God I never got that fruit because I wouldn't want to be a terrible monster like you. And he literally condemns the idea, and he's going, in my adolescence when I didn't know any better, I had this fantasy, and sure, it's fucked up. I will say that, like, that's fucked up that he had that fantasy of, like, I would love to peep on women. But he condemns it at the end of it. And it, once again, just falls on to, like, the gag that they do with him because it's just such a touchy subject what his gag is that sometimes when they take it too far, it's just, like you can't take Zoro getting lost too far and have it be controversial, really. But Sanji, he condemns it at the end of it, and I think the thing with his gag is when you walk the line of, like, the simp gag, when you try to take the gag, like, up a notch to do, like, a even bigger, funnier joke, like, when you take it up a notch, then it becomes inappropriate. And I think the men in charge of this studio don't realize that, and I think I'd be interested to see what the actual writing in Thriller Bark is of that, what the translation of that is, because I actually don't know. But it's just, like, the gag is taken too far, but I feel like it's very easy for me to overlook those moments and go, this is part of the gag, I don't agree with it, and it's been taken too far, but, like, also the reason I can get over it and still love Sanji as a character is because he does condemn it. And I see it as, let's lean into the gag, and then we're going to pull back and remind you that Sanji is still a good guy. And I think people stop listening after they hear, I wanted to pee on women, because they're angry. And when people go into anger or heightened emotion, you stop listening. That's just psychology. And I think, unfortunately, the Sanji gag makes the characterization of Sanji fall victim to when they overdo the gag and heighten people's emotions, and then they're like, all this guy does is piss me off. I think
that makes a lot of sense, yeah. Certainly.
I think that's
the gag going too far a little bit. I think that is fair. Like that's what a lot of people chalk up Fishman Island Sanji to.
I don't even think Fishman Island is that bad. I think this is way worse than Fishman Island. Infinitely. Yeah. I think that is Sanji's worst moment.
Mm-hmm. Definitively.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I've experienced. I know that there's some comment he makes in the future when Nami becomes younger, but I haven't seen it with my own eyes yet, so I'll let you know when I see it.
Fair enough, yeah. I don't remember that line for line, so we'll see.
Okay.
He basically very nearly saves Nami and then doesn't quite do it, and she ends up saving herself and electrocuting Absalom with the 5,000 volt whatever and sending him into hell. So
it's like Sanji beats him up so bad that he's like at 1 hit point.
Exactly.
And then he passes out, and then Nami gets the last hit point. She's like, I did it. And then she's like, oh, Sanji's here.
And the one guy that saw it all happen is like, oh, man.
Right.
You know?
But once again, Nami's being depicted as a bride, so this is a second depiction of Nami as a bride and Sanji next to her.
Mm-hmm. They should have had her carry him out. It would have been peak.
Yeah. But then she gets into one of Perona's fitties, and I love that. I love Perona. She's one of my
we didn't even talk about Perona.
She's one of my favorite One Piece characters. I like actually Sanji's a little freaked out by her.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the few women that he's like, oh shit.
Like Sanji's,
he doesn't handle goth girls well at all. He has a bad history with goth girls.
He's scared, yeah.
I know you don't know about that, but
I think it is funny that the crew, their first interaction with a goth girl made them extremely depressed.
Yeah.
her double fruit is so peak. It's just so
someone
funny.
Who should have joined the crew.
Yeah.
Bon Clay and Perona should have joined the crew.
True.
They're the two I would have added. And I would have got... Also, we meet Brook this arc, and my second least favorite character... Might be my least favorite character in One Piece.
Yeah, let's...
in this arc.
Let's do a full...
Moria? I hate that guy.
Step to talk about them. But Brook, I mean...
And I hate Brook. This is where... We want to act like Sanji's the freak Bob of the crew. But Brook is right there. You're gonna make me livid. Because... Right?
This is true.
Sanji, this is the difference. Sanji, people are like, oh my god, he's the worst. He's like, let me feed the women. Let me make sure the women are safe. Always. Those are his priorities. Let me make sure the women are taken care of and make sure they're safe. And let me comment on how beautiful they are. And they are beautiful women. And you can tell that they are not, when there's many times when Sanji's like, Nami Swan, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. She's like, But she does that because she likes to hear that she's the most beautiful woman in the world, and she knows it. And he's not doing it with the intent of trying to get anything out of her. In contrast, we have this skeleton motherfucker, my least favorite member of the crew, who's friends. I didn't know he was going to be friends with that goddamn whale, and I already didn't like that whale when I watched that at the beginning. I've been a Laboon hater. I didn't become a Laboon hater because I disliked Brook, but I already disliked Laboon. So then my natural dislike of Brook just fed into it when I had to. He only knows one song, maybe two. Okay, he knows two, but at this point in the show, he knows one song, okay? And I hate his gag. Right when they first meet Brook, the first line he says basically is the "let me see your panties" gag. Sanji would never have the audacity to ask a woman to strip and show her panties. He would never degrade a woman. He uplifts women. He tells them they're beautiful, he feeds them, and he protects them. Okay? Brook is a pervert, and I hate him. And what happens when he has to see Nami's panties? Sanji kicks the fuck out of him. And Luffy's like, Luffy doesn't care because Luffy's not very smart, and everything goes through his head. And he's like, join the crew, this guy's hilarious. And Sanji goes, absolutely not. He just victimized Nami. Absolutely not. He's not joining the crew. And Sanji is vehemently against him joining the crew more than anyone else. Him and Nami are in the top. He's not allowed to join the crew. And Brook is the worst. And Brook is a pervert. And every woman he meets, he's like, let me see your panties. That's a crazy ass thing to say. It's a weird thing to say. And people want to act like that's what Sanji's doing when he's uplifting women. But no, complimenting women is not the same as perving on women. And that's what Brook's doing. And I hate Brook.
No, I mean, I think that's a very valid take because, especially when we do have a lot of really good characters who don't join the crew.
Mm-hmm,
and
right.
Brook just doesn't necessarily develop... Nothing. He doesn't develop that much...
He knows one song.
...depth, really, at all. Even to where, like, we're 250 episodes into Brook time right now, and you know nothing about him beyond the Laboon backstory.
I miss this whale so much!
And, I mean, his crew obviously entirely died. But that happens to most people on the Grand Line.
Wah.
This is how I react to deaths in House of the Dragon, and you're like, oh my god, they just died. And I'm like, I didn't really know that guy's name. And then, this is how you are in One Piece with the whale and Brook's crew.
Certainly mine's more justified. I don't care. He knew one song. He knows one song. Maybe two. And the first one's kind of a banger, but then I've heard it too many times, and I don't like it anymore. And the second song surely is the worst song I've ever heard in my whole life.
And even with, like, the negative aspects of him, like the pervy thing and, like, the weird,
his
like,
bit's
old
not
man
funny.
stuff, like,
no, if I had eyes, if I had skin, if I had a stomach... Wait, no, you're a skeleton! It was the first thing we brought up when we saw you! Surely you can tell I hate Brook, and I'm not kidding when I say that. That's how I feel about pervs. I don't like pervs. So if I feel this strongly about pervs, surely it's trust and truth that Sanji's not one. Or he is in a way that I find charming. Either that.
If you've ever seen the TV show Community, there's an older man character in there who I think is played by Chevy Chase, and like that is what Brook should have been, in my opinion. Like someone who embodies the like cringy old man and like, yes, the negative aspects of it, but actually in a well-developed and funny way. Like Brook just doesn't get new bits ever.
And then he does the lean thing and it doesn't translate to English.
The 45-degree angle.
He's just... he's a freak Bob too. It's Freak Bob Central, this arc. And I wanted to like Brook so bad because it is. It's a Freak Bob arc. Yeah. And I'm a goth girly. Yeah. I thought I was going to hate Frankie because I was like, a cyborg? What are we even talking about? I was like, that's weird.
Frankie's goated. We didn't even talk about him.
And I love Frankie. Frankie also, I was introduced to Frankie in a really weirdly specific, tender time in my life. I was going through a family member passing away, and it just really hit me. It hit me in a really, and I was spending time with my dad, and like it reminded me of my dad.
We were watching the Tom flashback scenes of Tom dying, and we were going through a death in the family.
Right, like, so it was just, hit at just the right moment, and I love Frankie. And I looked at his character design, and I was like, I'm gonna hate this guy. Frankie's bit of him being a cyborg is consistently funny because it's different. You can do a different bit every time. It's creative. He's charming. He genuinely cares about the crew, and he's helpful. He truly assists.
Yeah, and he's not a perv.
There's
always the joke that he's a perv because he only wears underwear or a Speedo or whatever. But he never says anything out of pocket.
But he's based off of he's like a combination of Elvis and a surfer dude.
Yeah.
So he's wearing a Speedo because he's a surfer dude.
Right. But obviously that's, if you were just doing that in random normal life, people would be like,
it would be weird. It would be weird. But it's One Piece.
Yeah.
So it's I have a soft spot for Frankie, and I absolutely love him. And I didn't think off of his character design I would like him. Now I knew I was gonna enjoy Thriller Bark, and despite all of Thriller Bark's faults, which has infinitely many, I'm a goth girly at heart.
Skipper
I'm a
Bark.
goth Y2K girly. And when I saw the character designs, I was certain that I was going to love Brooke. Because I was like,
That's
okay,
it. Yeah.
goth as hell. We love it. No, I hate that man. I hate him. I'm going to continue to hate him.
Your favorite new character from Thriller Bark is probably Perona.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. I love Perona.
Yeah. Word.
Perona should have joined the crew after the time skip. Somehow. And Bon Clay should have joined the crew as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And we should have had 3 female crew members. And it could have been... What could have been fun is Nami and Perona kind of could have had a girly pop, like, little tiff. The way Sanji and Zoro have a gay boy tiff.
Mm.
And I think that could have been the dynamic. But truly, at the end of the day, they're girls and girls support girls. So when it would come down to it, they would support each other and help each other.
Mm-hmm.
But they could do, like, little girl drama.
Right.
That's what I think it should have been.
Me and my girl got different aesthetics, but at the end of the day, we still like each other, you know?
Right.
Like, we're still here for each other.
And I think
I
that's
could
what
have
should have
liked that
happened.
dynamic, yeah.
And I think there should have been... I think Perona should have joined the crew, and I love her, and we don't get enough of her.
Because they try to play a little bit, after Thriller Bark, more into Robin being the moodier one. Because I think they did, or Oda did consider that element of it, and that people liked Perona's kind of demeanor. Mm-hmm. And he does kind of play into he does it a little bit in Skypiea, but he does play more into Robin being this kind of moodier character who's like, what if we all got completely shredded to pieces and died right now? And then Usopp's like, why would you say that? But
I think Perona, like, she has her relationship with Zoro, and you could have stuck with that dynamic. And you already have Nami and Sanji have a dynamic, so it doesn't intrude upon any of that. And I think it could have been fun to have Sanji be a little afraid of a woman, for real.
Oh, man, yeah.
And I think you could have had given him more depth of, like...
And Zoro afraid.
And Zoro afraid. Just to have the men on the crew afraid of another woman. I would have appreciated that. I love Perona. And I think she's great. And I think she should have stuck around much longer. But it's what it is. And Bon Clay, which we'll get into.
Bon Clay. What a goat.
The goat Bon Clay.
They leave Thriller Bark, and we're going on to that old Saba Odi.
Yeah.
And Saba Odi, they do Sanji a little dirty with the outfit, at least
so
in the
bad.
color spread of the anime. I'm sure it just doesn't look like that. Maybe in the manga.
Right.
I don't really know how that works with how they choose colors for the anime.
Yeah.
But he has this weird fit where it's like a blue... It's either a green shirt with a blue tie, or a blue shirt with a green tie, and it looks super weird.
Now I know the life of a showgirl, babe.
It's not even turquoise and orange like that.
It kind of is. And I'll never know another. That's him, that whole arc.
And it matches, I think it's supposed to match like the island, but it just looks weird.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
And so that was the only note I had for Sobo. No. but
Kami.
We get Kami.
Kami sucks and she's annoying, but Nami kind of all up on her.
Yes, that's true. We get a little more Nami being a little fruity with it. It's
and Sanji's like, oh my gosh, a mermaid, which is then annoying when he's like, I've never seen a mermaid before, like, and he has twice now. Trust.
Because when we were coming up on Saba Odi, I was like, this is when we really start getting into society piece.
Society piece, yeah.
Because it's every global social issue at once, and
Saba Odi's a great arc, but
it's
not
really
for Sanji.
great. Yeah, that's true. It's a great arc, but not for Sanji. He really doesn't do a lot.
No.
Like, honestly.
And if Sanji's not on screen, I genuinely sometimes I struggle to pay attention. I find. I draw a lot during One Piece. Like, actually, my little art book's right here. Like, you're not really going to see it, but I'm teaching myself how to draw. I'm not very good. Like, quite frankly, I'm not very good. Wait, I'll hold it out. Yeah, like, this is me learning.
Show him a couple of them.
No, I think just this one is totally fine. This is day 6. So, like, for day 6, and I've really never drawn before. Oh my gosh, this is sucking. For never really drawing before, I think this is very... I'm very impressed with what I'm doing for being on day 6. And, like, this was Sanji day 1. So, I only can really draw Sanji. Today, I tried to draw Nami, and she was a little, like, I'll show you this one. It's horrible. I hate it. Like, truly horrible. But, you know, I'm trying to teach myself how to draw. We watch One Piece literally every morning, so I will draw while watching One Piece when I don't give a fuck what's happening on screen. And, if Sanji's not on screen, I truly... Sanji or Nami is not on screen, I truly struggle at times, depending on what's happening. Oh, he's gone. Goodbye. Look, he's Sanji, though. He's gonna clean it up. It's great.
Overflowed my
greedy!
Yeah, I know. Too greedy. I just poured it... It honestly probably looks crazy on camera, because I poured it and it just went...
Just keep it in.
So I'll really clean that up later.
That's fine. But the thing about, of course, Sanji, then when Kami gets kidnapped, he's very intent on saving her, of course, because she's a woman, but also just, he's learning about just the whole celestial dragon dynamic of it all, and Sanji's very enraged by that, naturally, and so is everyone else. So it's not really like he's given one moment to shine with that, necessarily.
No, he has a couple... I don't have any of them written down, I don't think. He does have a couple of good lines around... around that arc, just commenting on the injustice that he's seeing. But, again, it doesn't really... That arc does a lot more to position the crew as a whole in their moral force and as to who they are than, like, Sanji particularly.
Right.
Because there's a lot bigger things going on than, like, Sanji's personal issues.
You don't see any of these other new rookies really be like, let me defy a celestial dragon.
No.
Let me take a stand against slavery. Whereas the crew is vehemently like, we don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Fuck the system.
They're doing it, like,
They've
they're
already
doing it for the
declared
love
war
of
on the
game.
government. Yeah. So they have nothing to lose.
Right. Like, it's kind of clear that, well, now we see Law has kind of a personal mission as to why he's becoming a pirate.
Yeah.
Kid just wants, like, money and power in the
Captain
One Piece. Captain Mid.
Yeah.
Captain Mid, no diff.
All those other freaks. Okay, so another spoiler I know is I definitely I already knew Kuma had robots. And I said this one
robots.
bit.
That's a word for it.
Yeah, whatever. But I made this bit during Saba. Oh no, it was during
It was during
Saba Odi. No, it was Battle of the Best or whatever, the War of the Best.
Yeah.
Where they're watching it on the screen and the little pink-haired girl, I can't think of her
name.
Bonnie's crying, and I think about this all the time. It makes me laugh. You know what I'm about to say? I was like, imagine finding out your dad's 100 robots.
He's like, you hate when your dad's 100 robots.
Yeah. And she's like sobbing, like actually like sobbing, crying, hysterical. She's like, and I'm just like, imagine your dad's 100 robots. I don't know. Kuma, I guess, is a real one, but I also kind of, for some reason, I just don't care. I think his devil fruit makes no sense.
You just haven't got his back. Nobody really knew what was going on with Kuma at this point, at the point in the show that you're at, so...
I think his devil fruit makes no sense, and I don't care.
There's people with way stupider devil fruits than Kuma, let's be real.
Who? That's that powerful? Certainly not.
I'm trying to think, like, Magellan's fruit is kind of crazy.
That makes sense.
Like, it's not really a normal, like, paramecia like that. Like, he can turn into, like, a poison dragon and just fly around. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that makes way more sense. The paw fruit? Like, what are we... That's really ambiguous. We can teleport people.
The thing is, the names of the fruits are made up by humans. It's not, like, a official name.
But he has the paws.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Like, all of the powers of devil fruits are, like, their own system, and all the names are just made up. Okay,
yeah, but it doesn't... It's some bullshit because you could say that... I really feel like Law's devil fruit should be able to do the same shit that Kuma's does.
Yes, Law's... That's an example of one that's crazy.
Like...
Whitebeards. Like, what is that?
No, Kuma's makes way less sense. Let's move on. This isn't about Kuma's.
Okay. Kuma podcast.
Time skip Sanji. So people have a problem with this because of the way that trans people are depicted, which is a problem. But I would say the way the trans people... Which is weird. Like, I need Oda to stay in a lane because we see in Impel Down, the way we're depicting queer people is extraordinarily liberating. And very positive. So then, in Kapabaka Kingdom, I don't know why we're depicting trans people as predators. That's really fucked up. But I think the purpose of it is kind of supposed to be that Sanji's getting a taste of his own medicine. Which is, again, just a problem that he's getting that in the form of we're demonizing trans people. But also, the writer in that weird moment, which is not consistent with the rest of the narrative of how we depict queer people. So I don't understand why in Kababaka Kingdom we're depicting queer people in that lens.
Sanji's POV.
But I would, maybe, I guess.
Like, I think it's very much playing into the idea of, like, what is toxic masculinity in Japan? Because the word that Oda always uses for these people is the kama baka or the okama, and, like, I pulled this up on my laptop if you want to, like, glance at it. That's a term that is not, that really the only translation in English is just calling people, like, a queer. Like, it's a very wide encompassing term for, like, multiple types of queer people and, like, a lot of different types of, like, people in general. And it is something that has been used derogatorily in the past, just like queer has been. Mm-hmm. So the idea that, like, on one hand, you have all of these people banding together to form, like, a militant country group and empowering themselves. And on the other hand, you have Sanji seeing them all as the same. And Sanji seeing them all as, like, oh, these, like, freaks and these weirdos. Mm-hmm. But...
And Ivankov says, when Ivankov gets there, is that... And the other queen who's, like, ruling the regent when Ivankov is gone... Is like... They point out that Sanji has queerness in him and he's not willing to address that. And I think the point of this time skip and the reason that Whole Cake happens is because Sanji fundamentally fails to address the queerness within himself. He fails to address deconstructing his masculinity, and, like, he hates masculinity. So then he demonizes it at every opportunity. That's why he constantly demonizes Zoro, because he sees masculinity as an inherently bad thing. And none of the other male members of the crew are even traditionally that masculine. Like, Luffy's not traditionally that masculine because he's kind of a goofball. He's kind of boyish, so he doesn't demonize boyishness. And, like, Frankie, he can't demonize because Frankie's a robot, so he's... And sometimes he does give Frankie shit. And, like, Chopper's a little kid, so he doesn't give him grief.
He gives them all grief for being unserious, pretty much.
Right.
You know?
And, like... Usopp's is wimpy, so he doesn't demonize that. But the one character he gets into tiffs with consistently, and it's a bit, is Zoro, because he demonizes masculinity. And he demonizes the masculinity within himself. And so Ivankov is like, you need to train to rid this of yourself and accept yourself. And the point is, he never comes to see the citizens of Kababaka Kingdom as real people because of how he demonizes masculinity, and he can't see that they want to live within feminine energy and appreciate that, and just appreciate feminine energy as energy and not as something assigned at birth. And he struggles to deconstruct that, and I truly believe that's the whole reason, as we're going into Whole Cake, which I'm just approaching upon, that he falls into these problems. And I think the point is, compared to everyone's time skip where they've leveled up, and yes, Sanji's leveled up too, that he is the one who inherently fails, and that's what puts him into this upcoming situation.
That is very interesting. Because it
seems purposeful to me, despite I don't like how it's been depicted. I like
that take, and I think my only thing on that is just, like, I wish... And yes, I see what you're saying, where, like, yes, Sanji has a bad arc coming up where, like, he needs to figure more out, and sure, they could be setting up for that, but I think some people say, well, if it is really about Sanji deconstructing his own masculinity and his own identity as a whole, why didn't he actually accomplish anything in that time? Like, they could have just had him be at least a little bit successful in that, you know? Like, why did he fail, you know?
I think it's because... He turns the focus on to, I need to learn how to cook in a certain manner for Nami and Robin. And he's always thinking about, and again, in this time skip, whenever he's thinking about the rest of the crew, he addresses Nami first and then Robin, every single time. He always addresses Nami first when he's in his thoughts. Nami and then Robin.
That's true.
Nami's always on the forefront of his mind. So he's thinking about them and how he needs to get better for them, and he doesn't realize that to get better for them, he needs to deconstruct anything. Because the inherent folly of masculinity is thinking you need to build up, not reel back. And that's why, because he can't deconstruct that, because he can't see the queerness within himself, that he can't move forward. And it's until he loses everything, and I think that's a folly of lots of men. That until they lose everything, they cannot address their problems. And I think Oda's very aware of that.
Yeah. I really like that take. I do.
Thank you.
It makes a lot of sense. So, would you like to continue on to Fishman Island?
Yeah.
All right. So, well, Return to Sabaody. We have a really... that's one of my favorite scenes in all the show is the, 5 episodes where they all reunite. We have the fake Straw Hats. The scene with Chopper getting confused is kind of silly. You're like, what are you doing, bro?
I'm like, dude.
But I'm like, he did get fooled by Sniper King, so...
Right.
You know, it's okay, I guess.
It's just a lot of crying.
Luffy doesn't get fooled by thinking it is them. Luffy gets fooled by having no idea who they even are or think who they're even...
He's not like, wow, this guy's wearing the same outfit as me.
Right, Luffy gets fooled in the opposite way. He's like, I don't even know who these people are. And Chopper thinks it's the crew. So that is a funny bit, but I think it does go on for a little bit too long maybe, because the fake Straw Hats are kind of annoying.
Oh god, they're so annoying. And I really like that to show how weak they are, we let Usopp and Nami body them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like...
Yep.
And then... Yeah, basically we're off to Fishman Island, and I was very much warned about this arc. They were like, it's bad. Again, my one friend who I'm going to make watch this, he was like, just wait till you get to Fishman Island. I was nervous. My heart was pounding.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that bad at all.
No, I think...
I really had no problem with it.
So to frame Fishman Island, a lot of people have the infamous Sanji nosebleed scene as one of Sanji's worst moments, like bottom 5 moments for Sanji in the show. And the reason for that...
I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, the reason for that is because they're seeing it as, like, Sanji is putting himself and his own, like, fiending for women over literally the entire crew's well-being. And he is getting so distracted by this that it's inconveniencing everybody. And, like, before it had been like, okay, this is, like, silly, funny, and we've been inconvenienced a little bit, but this is, like, crazy. Like, we're really losing it, Sanji.
Okay, number one, here's why I disagree. Number one, none of the mermaids have a problem with Sanji. They're like, get in here, baby boy. Like, they want him up there, okay? They're literally taking his head and putting it there.
They did.
And Sanji has been trying to be strong. Okay, what I did have a problem with is Return to Sabaody, actually, because Sanji hasn't seen women in 2 years. My problem with Sanji, and I was nervous. The way my friend...
He was sniffing.
He was
sniffing some
women.
ladies on Sabaody, definitely. It was a little odd.
And I was very disturbed by that, because I was like, if this is totally what Sanji's up to for the rest of the show, I was like, fuck, I am cooked. Yeah. I was like, I can't defend this man anymore. And so that's a bottom 5 moment for me with Sanji, is the Return to Sabaody arc.
Yes. A lot of people don't even note that, because it happens in, like, 1 episode.
And it's that with his interactions with all the women in the town, and him just be like, holy shit, women!
Yeah.
It's just they're overdoing the gag.
Yeah.
The stuff with the mermaids, which is the stuff people take problem with, I don't have a problem with, because they're like, oh my gosh, humans, and they're all up in Sanji's business. They're like, come in the water, and they're enjoying the attention. Okay, the way I would be if I met Sanji.
Right, and they reject other people, i.e., Brooke. So there's like.
They have standards.
They have standards, right? It's not like they're just, on some sort of weird situation.
Right.
Like, they're just, they do actually show interest in him in a genuine way.
Right.
And they're actually talking to him. The couple of mermaids that get, the one who you were calling her the goth mermaid. I
like her.
I think her name is like Shilly.
Yeah, Shilly. Another one of my favorite random One Piece characters.
Right,
and my King Haruta.
Right. I'm always writing these down to get the playing cards for them, because it is really funny to have the really obscure One Piece character trading cards you can get for like less than $1. So you should do it. I don't know. But Shilly is like, come here, I guess, like, hide. Because
they're trying to hide them from the princes. Like, and she fully takes this man and puts her in her bosom.
Yes.
Puts him in her bosom.
Yep.
And Sanji has been really good up to this point. No nosebleed with the mermaids. Right. He's been having a good time splashing in the water.
Right.
And at that point, what's a man to do when he's shoved in mermaid boobies?
Let's just reiterate. What are Sanji's 2 main interests? Fish and women.
So you have to forgive him.
when it comes to mermaids, it's at least thematically correctly set up that is
his weakness,
his thing. Like, that's what will get him, you know?
Right.
It's not out of nowhere. It is certainly not out of nowhere.
Right.
You know?
And he said up to this point,
I want to go to Fishman Island. This is my all blue, like,
right,
know?
I know, and it's funny because Chopper, for that whole arc, he's like, this is my dream in life. He's like, I thought your dream in life was to find the all blue.
He's like, maybe this is the
he's
all
like,
blue.
Nah, man,
you know?
this is it.
And
I can't even blame him. And so, right, but then you have the whole, like, oh, we have to do the blood transfusion thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is only, you have to understand that is happening to thematically set up that the transfer of blood between fishmen and humans, which is a symbolic thing, they're setting that up.
yes.
And you have to have something to set that up, otherwise that really comes out of nowhere, and it's not as much emphasized. The emphasis has to be put on it early to understand how deep the conflict is between fishmen and humans, and you have to understand from the beginning that they are not willing to, it's not allowed, and you have to establish that in a way that matters to the crew for them to internalize it. That is happening for a reason. It's not happening because, oh, it's so inconvenient because Sanji's doing that. It's really inconvenient when Zoro gets lost for 12 episodes at a time. That's inconvenient. That's truly inconvenient and happening for no reason other than Zoro is dumb.
Wait for Wano.
Zoro is stupid.
Wait for Wano. He's going to get lost for,
oh my
50
god,
episodes.
that's what I'm saying. That is inconvenient.
He leaves the service.
That is inconvenient. It's not even happening for, like, any other reason other than Zoro is stupid. Whereas with Sanji, it's annoying that it's happening and it's immature of him. But also it was established that this is his weakness, so that's that. The thing that's happening here is it is very important for the entire rest of this arc because we have to establish inherently blood transfusions between humans and fishmen are a taboo in their society that is so deep-rooted and metaphorical to the entire issue of the entire arc, and it is setting up the thematic theme of that arc. And it's not just inconvenient for the sake of inconvenience, it is a thematic reason that that's happening.
He could have had a fight where someone gets stabbed and they're bleeding, but it's like, realistically, were the, like, random Neptune guards going to be that strong? Like, no, they couldn't have been, because then Horty wouldn't have made any advance. Like, they had to make those people weak, so they had to have someone on the crew having a major blood loss from something not related to an attack.
Right, and so it's fair that this is happening to Sanji. He hasn't seen women in 2 years. All of a sudden, his dream is coming true. Women and fish at the same time. I think that's valid.
It makes a lot of sense to me now.
It makes perfect sense.
So, I mean, I think we're gonna pretty much...
we gotta talk about one of my favorite lines in the entire series.
Bring it around to just wrapping it up to, like, a few final quotes.
No. But first we gotta talk about the Jinbei backstory with Nami.
Yes. Right. No, that's what I'm getting to here.
Okay, good. Yeah. Perfect.
That's what I'm getting to here. So, we did hit a lot of good Sanji quotes, but one of the peak, maybe top 5...
Top 5 for sure.
Certainly. Is, and also it just, like, you don't hear people use this strong a language very often in One Piece. So it's extremely intentional.
It's intentional.
As jarringly amusing as it is. But Jinbei basically explains his involvement with Arlong and the Fishman Pirates. And long story short, despite knowing that Arlong was a very sus individual and was probably gonna be a terrorist, Jinbei released him from prison because he just had an old loyalty and just didn't want to see a fellow fisherman and an old comrade languishing in prison, basically. And so he took
human prison.
Right, exactly, a human prison especially. And so he said, like, yes, I knew that this was questionable, and I knew that I would one day probably take responsibility for Arlong doing something. This is that day, because he clearly has done something to you. Like, right,
because it gets revealed that Nami has been victimized because Hachi is there. Mm-hmm. And Hachi then, says to Jinbei, like, Arlong has victimized this young woman.
Yeah.
And Jinbei is, like, begging for forgiveness.
Right. He's like, I'll do anything. And Sanji says, all right, so kill yourself. And Jinbei agrees. Which, and
then Nami goes, no, don't do that. You're friends with Luffy, and we actually need you in this fight.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about that whole interaction is that Jinbei is explaining how Arlong came into power, essentially, in Nami's corner of the world. Mm. And Nami's kind of filling him in on what Arlong did. And Nami's like internalizing all this, but as Nami goes to explain, Sanji literally goes, no, you don't explain. Like, you've been through too much. You have been victimized in such a way that you're gonna sit out of this fight, and I'm gonna take care of you. And Sanji explains for Nami what happened to her, so that she doesn't have to put herself through explaining what happened or having to justify anything she did. And it just goes to show that, like, Luffy, deadass, we know canonically, doesn't know Nami's backstory. He just was like, Nami was crying about this guy, I'm gonna go beat him up.
Unless it was explained off screen, yeah.
Right.
Luffy wandered off during her backstory, and he fell asleep during this recounting of the backstory, so yeah.
Luffy, and I think that's part of Luffy's characterization of, like, he doesn't need your backstory fully. If you're his friend, and you've shown through your actions that you're a good person today in the present, he doesn't care what your past is.
Yeah.
And that's the point of Luffy. But Sanji knows intimately what happened to Nami, and he holds it in such a place in his heart and respects it and honors what Nami has gone through, and he honors it so much that he wouldn't even allow Nami to put herself through explaining herself. He honors it and goes, you've been through too much, I am going to speak for you right now, and she lets him very willingly. She doesn't go, don't speak for me. You can see in her face that there is gratitude for what Sanji is doing for her. And she only speaks again. She lets Sanji speak for her. That's how much she trusts Sanji to represent her. That she lets Sanji speak for her for that entire 20 episode arc. And only when Sanji tells Jinbei to kill himself is when she speaks again. That's how deep their connection is, and how much Sanji cares about Nami. Sanji doesn't care that Jinbei's friends with Luffy. No. Sanji doesn't care that Jinbei tried to save Luffy's dead brother's life. He doesn't give a fuck about that. He gives a fuck about Nami. And he's like, you are the reason Nami went through childhood trauma. You should kill yourself.
Right, and he says, and that won't undo what happened, but it might make Nami feel a little better at least.
Right.
That was the full line, yeah.
Right. And
so,
that's the end of Fishman Island.
That's the end of Fishman Island, really.
And now we're moving on to... We're watching Thriller Bark right now, but I haven't finished... Or
Punk
not
Hazard.
Thriller Bark. Jesus Christ. Punk Hazard. We're on Punk Hazard now, so surely we won't get into that because I haven't finished it.
Yeah. So I really think we hit just about every point that I wanted to about Sanji. So
and I'm going to say
perfect.
Just for the part of Punk Hazard that we're in, I do not care about the body swap. I don't care about Sanji looking at Nami's boobs. I think it's funny. I think that they should boink in each other's bodies. That's my takeaway.
We're gonna cut it, actually.
No.